Notice to the public. If you wish to address the council, please complete the wishing to address the council form on either end of the counter and give it to either the chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All comments must be addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing individual council members and/or staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words and actions, and comments shall be limited to the issue and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. Please silence all cell phones and electronic devices used for communications for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the Terrebonne Parish Council meeting to order with an invocation by Mr. Danny Babin and a pledge of allegiance by the same.
Bow our heads. Dear Lord, give us the strength tonight to do what's best for the people of Terrebonne Parish and for us to keep in mind those that are in need of our help. We ask this in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Babin. Ms. Charlie, can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Babin, Ms. Chauvin, Mr. Trustclair, Mr. Pledger, Mr. Harding, Mr. Voisin, Mr. Amity, Mr. Champagne, Mr. Hamner.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thanks, Ms. Charlie. Approve the minutes of the regular council session held on June 10th, 2026. Moved by Mr. Carl Harding.
Second.
Second by Mr. Clyde Hamner. Seeing no lights, members vote your machines. Votes 9-0, motion passes. Distribute the minutes of the regular council session held on June 24th, 2026. This has already been done. Approve the accounts payable bill list for 6/29/2026 and 7/6/2026 and 7/13/2026.
So moved.
Move Mr. Clyde Hamner, second Mr. Carl Harding. Seeing the lights, members vote your machines. The votes 8-0 with one abstention. Motion passes. Item 1, general business. Commendation commending Miss Michaela Rhodes as the Lennox Hotard American Legion Post 31 2025 Teenager of the Year. Mr. Danny Babin.
Thank you, sir. It's indeed an honor to read this. We always talk about first, and you're going to hear in just a minute why this is a first. Not only does she live in Grand Kaya, which I happen to represent, she is the first person to get this award from the way she studied. All right, so I'll read this proclamation, commendation, excuse me. Whereas Ms. Michaela Rhodes made history by being chosen as the first homeschooler to receive this prestigious 69th Terrebonne Parish American Legion Post 31 Teenager of the Year Award for 2025. And whereas Ms. Rhodes, as a parishioner of Holy Family Catholic Church of Dulac, where she has volunteered in many ways, including cleaning, helping with the youth formation, and helping coordinate a parish tribute honoring local veterans. And whereas Ms. Rhodes is a self-taught artist, a member of the National Art Honor Society, and has achieved numerous first-place awards and grand championship honors across various levels of competition for artwork. And whereas Ms. Rhodes has been an active member of Terrebonne 4-H and Terrebonne Homeschool 4-H clubs for 11 years, has served as multiple leadership roles, including president, wetland ambassador, an LSU Ag Center Advisory Committee youth representative, and has received numerous awards from her participation in various 4-H activities. Whereas Ms. Rhodes represented Louisiana 4-H at the National 4-H Congress and performed a live drawing demonstration at the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. as part of 4-H Spark Celebration. Whereas Ms. Michaela Rhodes intends to pursue a college education in fine arts and environmental science, focusing on Louisiana coast and to continue to serve as an advocate and educator for her Bayer community for years to come. Now therefore be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of the parish president and the entire parish consolidated government that Ms. Michaela Rhodes be hereby commended for her outstanding leadership service and achievements as the Lennox Hotard American Legion Post 31 2025 Teenager of the Year, and for example of character and community devotion to the youth of Terrebonne Parish. Presented this 15th day of July 2026, signed by Parish President Jason Bergeron, Council Chairman Brian Pledger, and endorsed by this entire Parish Council.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please, ma'am?
I'm Michaela Rhodes, and I'm a resident of Dulac. It is an incredible honor to be recognized, and I consider it a true privilege. I would like to extend my deepest thanks to American Legion Post 31, the Parish Council, and my representative, Mr. Babin, for this wonderful acknowledgement.
Yeah, Michaela, we're all very proud of you. And again, the first homeschooler, that's a big deal. Okay, that's a really big deal in my opinion. Okay, so you're leading the way for others now. I think Ms. Chauvin is very aware of homeschooling. Okay, so again, thank you for all you do for your community. I know you love Dulac. The last time I saw you, you and your mom were at the Bayer cleanup down there. So it's very important for young people like yourself to get involved and stay involved in this community because you are one of the leaders for the future. So again, thank you very much, and we're honored to do this for you.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
Hold on one second, ma'am. Mr. Michaela? Oh, Mr. John Amity?
Sorry.
Oh, Steve, go ahead. I'm sorry, Steve. Give me a light again. Thank you. Mr. Steve Trosclair.
Michaela, excuse me. I'm sure it took a lot of work and hard work and dedication, a lot of time to achieve what you achieved in this. But I'm sure also that you had a lot of home support because being homeschooled, that's a job in itself. I haven't done it. I have no desire to do it. But it takes, a group effort to make this happen. And congratulations. And hopefully one day we can be sitting up here one day or maybe down there one day. It's young people like you, young adults that are coming up that are going to be taking over this parish. I know two of us for sure on our way out. And so, yes. But you guys are up and coming, and it really appears that just from your credentials here that you have a real leadership quality about you, and use it to your advantage and take run with it. So congratulations, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. John Amity?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Michaela, my wife and I, we homeschooled 3 sons. And when we started homeschooling wasn't cool. In fact, because of that, my wife was able to pass a lot of legislation to make homeschooling more acceptable. And that's why she serves in the state house today, to make sure that it stays preserved. And like my colleagues were saying, you've accomplished a lot. You may not realize to the level of what you've accomplished in getting this award, but let me tell you, it's a big deal, and you should be very proud. Your parents should be very proud. Having homeschooled and been involved in homeschool since the 1980s, I can tell you it's a really big deal. So you need to pat yourself on the back, keep working hard like you've done, and you'll be able to achieve so many things. You'll have a choice of what it is that you want to do. And I'm sure that she probably already does have some direction on where she's headed. And if I could speak for the rest of the people up here on this council, we look forward to seeing where your name falls in our later years to see what type of leader you've become, because we know it's going to be great somewhere. So again, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And again, let's give her another round of applause. Item B, a motion to amend the condemnation order originally adopted on January 27th, 2026, and amend on April 29th, 2026 on the residential structure located at 7093 Grand Caillou Road, Houma, Louisiana, owned by Deshaun Benjamin Jones, Dwayne Anthony Jones Jr., Devon Keith Charles, Cheryl Banks, Thu Hong Thai Nguyen, by changing the deadline to complete demolition and/or removal from June 10th, 2026 to August 31st, 2026. Move Mr. Danny Babin, second Ms. Kim Chauvin. Seeing the lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 9-0, motion passes. Item 2, public wishing to address the council. In accordance with section 2-07E of the Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter, the public will be heard and can speak for 3 minutes on any matter related to parish government without discussion or questions and/or answers on non-agenda items. Item A, or speaker number 1, or A, Mr. John Mosley, on behalf of the Bayou Region Sports Youth Organization, wishes to address the council, the parish council regarding Recreation District Number 11 and ongoing issues. Mr. Mosley?
How y'all doing?
Name and address for the record, sir.
John Mosley, 512 Morgan Street, Houma, Louisiana.
Go ahead.
Thank y'all for the time to address y'all. I'm the founder of Bayou Region Sports Youth Organization, 501c3. We provide affordable and free sports for the youth within the Terrebonne and the region area. We partner with the New Orleans Pelicans, where we send kids out to do fan tunnels. We have fundraisers and pretty much give back to the community. The issues that we've been having is fairness and transparency for District 11 gyms. So it's like let's see, I don't wanna, it's like it's inconsistent with communication, booking the gyms and things of that nature. And that's what we rely on for as giving the kids in our area the mentorships, sports and everything to help them grow and pretty much keep everyone safe. So I mean, like with the booking, it's just been a runaround after a runaround, and I totally believe that our organization not having the same fairness and opportunities that other organizations having. So I don't want to kind of like put the blame on anyone, but it's like a lot of conflict interest that's been going on behind the scene that's been altering us from being able to get access to the gyms, to book gym time, to book game times, and things of that nature.
Okay, so that's it? That's all you wanted to share with us?
Yes.
Okay, we do appreciate it, and based on the requirement, the Home Rule Charter, we can't really engage in dialogue back and forth. But it sounds like, I will share this with you, it does sound like you need to work with District 11 in order to kind of iron out whatever you guys have going on there. But we do appreciate the insight on the things that you're going through. So we thank you for that.
Okay, I can't.
Yeah,
come
you're
back.
good. You're finished talking, right? You're good?
No, I mean that's why I came, because I go to the board meetings in order to run my league, that's what I have to do to get the gyms, to get approval, to
One sec. Motion to extend by Mr. Danny Babin, second, Ms. Kim Chauvin. Seeing no lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 9-0. Wait till that green light comes on right there on the microphone. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's why I'm here. I tried several times to speak to the chairman. I tried several times to speak to District 11 board members, and to no avoid. It's been, I mean, if you can remember, I was on the agenda last year to speak the same issue, but between work and other things, I wasn't able to make it. So I took the initial step to just come here and to address it amongst you guys.
Okay, Mr. Amity?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and the attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's listed on the agenda. I think we can have discourse. If he had just
Card.
filled out a speaker card, we couldn't. If she can clear that up for me, because I have a comment that I can tell him. If not, I'll tell him after.
Ms. Neal?
Yes, sir. I do see him on the agenda now that I'm looking at it. And because it is on the agenda and the public was made aware that he would be up and as a speaker, then you can discuss the matter, but only in as much as it's listed on the agenda. So the subject matter that's on the agenda, yes.
Right. Okay. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to tell Mr. Mosley, we created a system that you can go online and request facilities for anybody in the parish to know this. I forget where exactly it's located under I think athletics and leisure, possibly. But you can go online to request use of any of the facilities that are listed there. The only thing I don't know is did Rec 11 list their facilities on that? It's a parish-wide scheduling program that allows everybody, if you wanted to schedule practices, if you wanted to schedule weddings, any type of use of the facilities, you can use that as well. Now, if they haven't listed their facilities, then I would contact the Quality of Life Department and try to work through them and see if they can help you out on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Amity. Mr. Harding?
Yes, and I'm in the same position that Mr. Almody was actually there. It's a combination between Quality of Life and Rec 11. And to the best of my knowledge, Rec 11 has a calendar that they actually they keep up with for everyone that's scheduling. And any extra stuff that's associated with the quality of life, you may also have to go to Mr. Domain and the quality of life.
Okay.
You good, Mr.
speak?
Harding?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you, Ms. Harding. Ms. Chauvin?
So, Mr. Mosley, you said that you went to their meetings, you went to the recreation.
All right, I'm gonna be straightforward with it. I went through all the proper procedure. It's basic conflict of interest because I spoke to Mr. Phil about it. I spoke to Mr. Hillary about it. Guys that's working in there have a lead, and the other person that's working in the front office, along with the chairman, the head chairman, it's like they all in cahoots as far as when I come, I got to get, or they want to put me here, or we don't have this available. I mean, I have recordings to where the guy in the front office worked for Mr. Phil said that, hey, TPR have these days booked. I took it upon myself, and you could clarify with Mr. Phil. I called Mr. Phil and asked him. He clarified to me. He said, I can't tell him what to do, but as far as TPR, we don't have anything for District 11 for the month of July.
Okay.
So, and it's like, it's just been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth,
But
lies.
my question is have you gone to the recreation meeting?
That's
Have
why
you-
I came here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mosley. I don't have any more lights. I don't have any insight per se myself. Council members, they've shared what possible action you could take in moving forward.
Gotcha.
All right, thank you. Item B, speaker cards. We have quite a few speaker cards. However, most of the speaker cards will be addressed or acknowledged during an agenda item that we have at the latter part of the agenda. However, I have a specific speaker card that doesn't relate to the agenda item at the end, and it's Miss April Wallace, and she wants to address the council in regards to vandalism and hate crimes at Recreation District 11 parks. Miss April Wallace.
My name is April Wallace. I'm coming up here to discuss Rec 11. We have a few parks that is being vandalism. And also, it's a lot of hate crime, hateful words that is being written on our parks. And it's located in District 6 and District 8. And I know you all don't have much to do with Rec 11, but it's the district that it's in. And a police report was made. I'm not sure if anything came out of it because I haven't heard anything, and it happened in May. So I need, this kind of need to be addressed because when it comes to hate, I don't play with that. That's very, very serious. And to be writing the N-word, that's very offensive. And it should be to every one of us in here. You know, whether you like the person or you don't like the person. It's certain things and certain words you do not use. So I would appreciate the two districts if y'all get a chance, ride in that area around our parks and see what's going on. Because I don't want this to happen again. Because if it happened again, I'm gonna take it to the newspaper. I'm gonna take it further. I do not want this to ever happen again. I shouldn't have to pass on our parks and see the N-word nowhere around there. Absolutely nowhere. If you feel hate, that's fine. But you keep that to yourself. You don't go writing on a public park. That's one thing I don't tolerate, and I will never tolerate hate. And y'all may not can address me or say anything because I just wrote a speaker card, but I do want this to be noted because I will address it. I will find out if anything have been done about it. All I know, the policeman is with the Homer Police Department, and his name is Bobby O'Brien, I think. So if District 6 and 8, if y'all can contact him, that's fine. If not, just let me know. And I don't have a problem contacting nobody, absolutely nobody, when it comes to stuff like that. So I want y'all to take this real, real, real serious. I don't play with hate, period, at all.
Okay. Well, thank you, Miss April. And just a correction there, just to make sure everybody's clear, comments that you're making are in regards to District 6 and 8. And I don't think it's District 6, it's District 8, which is Mr. Danny Babin, and District 5. I'm sorry, Miss Kim Chauvin and Mr. Kevin Champagne is not District 6. If it's the park that you told me about on Wright Street, that would be Mr. Champagne in
And then
District
it's-
5,
Okay,
not
and
6.
I can't remember the other street.
I
but
think it was, Mr. Harding, you want to clear that up?
Barrios.
Barrios Park is the
And
other.
and what district?
That's why I said that.
Okay.
That's what I thought it was. Right. So everyone's clear. The district that you said was in relation to the parks with the hate crime, the graffiti, the
Yes.
verbiage that was written out there. It's actually District 8, which is District 7, I'm sorry, which is Barrios Park. And
Okay.
also District 5, which is the
Okay.
Wright Street Park, and that's Mr. Champagne. Just to
Okay.
make sure everybody's clear.
Okay, that's
on that.
fine.
Okay.
I just
clearing
wasn't
that up.
sure.
Okay, all right. So thank you. We do appreciate that, that information though.
Okay.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, right on time, 6:30 public hearings. Item A, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the parish of Terrebonne so as to rezone from one light industrial and open land to I-1 light industrial, 526 South Hollywood Road, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government applicant. First call public, second call public, third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Steve Trosclair, second, Mr. Clyde Hamner. Seeing the lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 9-0.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Clyde Hamner. Second, Mr. Steve Trosclair. Seeing the lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 9-0. Ordinance is adopted. Item B, an ordinance to authorize the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, TPCG, to acquire immovable property identified as Terrebonne Parish parcel number 26228, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, and to authorize the parish president or his official designee, the chief administrative officer, to execute and all documents necessary to acquire said property and to provide for other matters relative thereto. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Steve Trosclair. Second, Mr. John Amity. Seeing no lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 9-0. Motion to adopt, Mr. Steve Trosclair. Second, Mr. John Amity. Seeing the lights, members, vote your machines. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Carl Harding. I'm sorry. Mr. Harding?
This building that we actually purchasing for $1.1 million, is it associated with the STEAM Center? Okay, so we're gonna have out of the STEAM Center, $3,698,436 left over with the STEAM program.
Ms. Candace?
Yes, sir. So this building we're purchasing is the building in order for us to be able to do the STEAM Center. We do have 4.7 million total allocated towards that. Some of that is consultant fees and planning fees. A lot of that is also to repair the building and to build it out to how it needs to be in order to fully do the STEM. I don't have the breakdown of what that budget is, but I can get it to you.
Okay, and at the end of, well, when this actually building is actually completed, who will own the building?
This building would be owned by Terrebonne Parish.
Be owned by Terrebonne Parish? Okay. Did we also, we're gonna purchase the building, have we actually have an environmental study?
Yes, sir.
On it, yeah? Yeah,
In
'cause
order for us to be able to put this on the agenda and to get the purchase agreement done, we had to have environmental review clearance.
Yeah, that's what I was reading in the back, in reference to, providing, circumstances with the environmental study. Other than that, yes, okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Seeing no further lights, thanks, Ms. Candace. Members, vote your machines. Votes 9-0. Ordinance is adopted. Item C, an ordinance amending the parish code of ordinances to amend the definition of agricultural to include restrictions on the raising of roosters. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Kevin Charles Champagne. Second, Mr. Carl Harding. Seeing the lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 8-0. Motion to adopt, Mr. Kevin Champagne. Second, Mr. Carl Harding. Seeing the lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 8-0. Ordinance is adopted. Item D, an ordinance amending the parish code of ordinances to remove the four-way stop and establish a two-way stop at the intersection of Dixon Road and Roland Road. Help me out. Oh, first call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Carl Harding. Second, Ms. Kim Chauvin. Seeing the lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 9-0. Motion passes. Motion to adopt, Mr. Carl Harding, second, Ms. Kim Chauvin. Seeing no lights, members vote your machines. Thank you. Votes 8-0. Ordinance is adopted. Item 3, committee reports. Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Clyde Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make the motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on Monday, July 13th, 2026. I have 7 public hearings. Number 1, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2026 adopted operating budget and 2026 budget positions of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items: Fire Department budgeted positions and Fire Department $23,381, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, July 29, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Number 2, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2026 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items: LCLE $21,500, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, July 29th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Number 3, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2026 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item: Houma Police Department, $1,801, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, July 29th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Number 4, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2026 adopted operating budget and the 2026 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item: Bayou Terrebonne vegetation and debris removal, $585,928, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, July 29th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Number 5, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2026 adopted operating budget and the 2026 5-year capital outlay budget for the following item: Civic Center, $167,062, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, July 29th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Number 6, introduce an ordinance to amend the adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government to adjust the 2026 adopted beginning fund balances and the net positions to actual as per the 2025 audited financial statements, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, July 29th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. And number 7, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2026 adopted operating budget and the 2026 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item: Bayou LaCarpe Drainage Lock C, $1 million, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, July 29th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m.
I have a motion on the floor. Motion on the floor by Mr. Clyde Hamner, second by Mr. Carl Hart. I have a light, Mr. Clayton Wasn't.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For one of the items from the committee meeting, I'd like to be able to introduce some new information in reference to Tyler Technologies. In our committee meeting, I think the question was asked a couple of times as far as track history with governmental bodies, reference to this company. We were told Monday that the only issues they had legally was with personal entities, not with governmental institutions. Unfortunately, there's quite a few governmental bodies that they've had legal issues with that cost these governments in excess of millions and millions of dollars. For example, Crook County, Tyler Industries data breach lawsuit centers on the company's failure to protect data and stored on behalf of government agencies and their constituents. In late September 2020, Tyler Technologies publicly confirmed that an unauthorized third-party accessed and potentially took data from the internal systems. The company provides software that processes everything from court records, tax payments, and utility billing. That means they got in, they potentially got access to the information about real people, names, addresses, social security numbers, court records, financial data, and more. The legal theory behind the data breach lawsuit is straightforward. The technologies collected and stored sensitive data as a vendor to the government clients as the custodian of that data. They had the legal duty to protect it. Plaintiffs argue the duty has breached due to negligent cybersecurity practices. Key data breach, failure to maintain adequate encryption standards, delayed breach notification to affected parties, insufficient monitoring of network intrusion activity, failure to follow industry standards, security mainframes, breach of contract with government agent clients. For this case, the class potentially includes residents and municipalities that use Tyler products, employees of government agencies, and direct Tyler technology clients such as courts and public works departments. The agencies, government agencies, relied on Tyler systems reporting disruptions. Some courts temporarily lost access to electronic filing systems. Police departments using Tyler software faced outages and record management tools. What made this attack particularly alarming was the nature of the data involved in government software systems don't just hold company files, they hold personal records of citizens. And the key takeaway, a ransomware attack on Tyler Technologies was not just a corporate IT incident. It disrupted government services and exposed personal data belonging to millions of residents across the U.S. Now, obviously, there's a lot of information. I took the high points out of this to basically clarify that not just this, but other governments throughout the country have the same type of problems in history with this technology company. And I wanted to give my colleagues the opportunity to revisit this. So with that being said, we can't also forget that we publicly said, parish president publicly said, every dollar of this money would be spent on infrastructure. We can't forget that. That was told to you and us. And then it was changed. So with that being said, I'd like to make a substitute motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on July 13th, 2026, except for agenda item number 5, resolution to authorize the parish president and/or designee to execute a contract with Tyler Technologies to implement a comprehensive enterprise resource planning ERP system. Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Harding, you good? I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Wazan, substitute motion on the floor by Mr. Wazan, second by Mr. Steve Trosclair. Mr. Danny Babin?
Yeah, Mr. Robbie Lee, Communications Director, who gave this information the other night, I think should have the opportunity to address this.
Okay. Mr. Robbie Lee?
Yeah, so I completely understand the cybersecurity issues here, and I'll just give y'all a couple talking points here. Last year, the child support office right across the street from us was breached. As y'all all remember, last year, we ourselves were breached. AT&T's been breached this year. They have a class action lawsuit. Verizon's been breached this year. They have a class action lawsuit. In the cybersecurity world, and anyone who's in it will tell you, it's not if you get breached, it's when you get breached. It's gonna happen. I do believe if this software, I firmly 100% believe if this software was in place, the issue we had last year with the DOTD invoice wouldn't have happened. Again, the breach happened on their cybersecurity private side. Yes, the data is held there. We can be breached tomorrow, and every one of the employees' data could be leaked tomorrow. It is even said in the IT world to not have these conversations about your IT infrastructure in public because of how dangerous it is. I have Monday technically opened the entire door to anyone on the internet to see what our infrastructure looks like because I had to speak about it for 45 minutes, which is dangerous because it is critical infrastructure. If this goes down, we are in a way worse position than what we are now, and we will be in a bad position. I understand, like, if we go off of every lawsuit anyone's ever had, work win or not, no one would work with Terrebonne Parish. We get sued on probably on average once a week, if not more than that. I get it. I did our due diligence. We looked through it. I do believe this is the best company. They've made a large, substantial increase in their cybersecurity side that I thought was sufficient. It's drastically more than what we put into our cybersecurity side completely. I don't. I told you guys Monday the position we were in. That position does not change. I do believe Tyler Tech is the right company to go with. Do they have they had issues in the past? Yes. Have we not? We've had issues in the past. Contractors we have used on Monday has what, the second change order on a job? Like, things do happen. I'm not gonna sit here and hold people to what happens to them in their weakest moments. I judge them on the wins they had. And I think when you have a 99, 98% win rate, you hold on to that and you go with it. We did a lot of work. We did a lot of research into this issue. Again, I stand by the decision we made. I presented that decision to y'all. It is y'all decision to make, and I'm gonna respect it. I will be back up here if it fails tonight, in probably 6 more months with a bid for 2 to 3 times this amount to fix everything. Because we cannot. This program's gonna sunset. It is sunsetting. That's not a scare tactic. I don't know if anyone thinks it is or me just spouting misinformation. This is happening. It's a baby. It's coming, whether we like it or not. We have a head start to get ahead of this and fix this now. I think we should fix it now. Even the lawsuits he pointed out were mostly what I would consider the court system side. We won't be using any of that. The fees aren't calculated that we use. Those fees that were put up there are fees that were calculated on that side of that software, not a side that we are going to use. But again, I put it in your hands. I feel like I did my job. I did my duty, and I did my responsibility to the taxpayers here to save them as much money as I can. A team put a lot of time and energy into it. Candace put a lot of time and energy to it. Her team put a lot of time and energy into it. Crystal's team put a lot of time and energy to it. My team asked to be here tonight, and I told them absolutely not. I told them I wanted them home. They can watch it online. I know they're probably watching. They're texting me, so I know they're watching it now. I'll leave it in y'all hands. If you have any other questions for me, I'll gladly take them. But again, like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and chastise a company for something that has happened to us, has happened to multiple the state of Louisiana was hacked last year. I can't hold them to a standard and then not hold everyone else in our state to that same standard, including ourselves. I just don't. I don't think that's fair. But I'll leave it up to y'all, and that's all I have to say.
So, Robbie,
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you're speaking like you knew about all these municipality issues they've had, but yet Monday they had none. But
I didn't.
tonight you know about
I didn't
them.
say none. I didn't say
You
none.
said none.
Two of
They
the
were
one, the
personal.
first one you
said
mentioned,
personal.
the first one you mentioned is Tyler Solutions, which is not even the same company. The first one you mentioned is not even the same company.
It's all
And
the
I didn't want to.
same.
I didn't want to say nothing, but I'll say it now.
It's all the same one.
It's not. Tyler Solutions and Tyler Technology is
According to
two
this.
completely different companies.
Listen.
The second one you mentioned was dismissed. The third one, the cybersecurity liability, they absolutely paid for because they messed up. But whenever you get breached, you have to pay the piper. If you get breached, just like if we got breached and it leaked employee data, like you just saw happen to AT&T, there's a class action lawsuit against AT&T right now for the same exact thing. You're going to pay for it. The court system paid for it. They had their server shut down remotely. It's not if. It's not if. This is the scariest thing of my job.
So the
By
one that I
far.
pulled is Crook County. Crook County. Cook County.
Chicago.
Sorry.
No, I understand.
Cook County. Okay? It's the same company. It's the same entity. Everything is the same as the company that
have-
we looking at.
They have over 50,000 clients, and you want me to hold them to the one.
Oh, no, there's many. I just didn't think y'all wanted me to read all night about all of them. All I'm saying is, Monday, you said, now y'all correct me if I'm wrong, the question was directly asked about municipalities. No issues, only personal. The ones you thinking of were all
Private.
personal, private issues. Your words, not mine.
The cybersecurity one affects everything, but the breach came from the private side. They still got access to the servers that they hold sensitive data on.
Yeah, that's a word salad, partner. You
It's
know
not-
what the
it's not a
question
word-
meant.
it's not a
The
word
question
salad.
wasn't meant who did it. The question was, have they suffered issues working with governments, municipalities? That was the question. You know what the question was because you said it wasn't. It was private. So now you're telling me you wasn't talking about their private customers. You were talking about the people that did the hacking or whatever the case is. That's what you was referring to? Okay.
Again, sir, I'll leave it.
That's
I
not
leave the
true,
vote. I
but-
leave the vote in y'all hands. Again, I think we've done our
I
due
just think
diligence
the
on
facts
this.
are important, particularly when you tell us we did our due diligence, we did our research.
Then I'll stick to the
That's why
facts.
they the best.
The fact is, you're going to save the parish and the taxpayers behind me $440,000 a year.
Not
That's a
according
fact.
to Cook County and many other counties that had to pay millions more. It cost them millions more than 2.7 million. Way more. It's right there, black and white. Look, partner, you come in and you say, yeah, they had some issues, but they've ironed them out on Monday. Different story maybe today. But that's not what was said. So it's either one or two things. The research wasn't done properly, or the research was done properly and it was an attempt to hide it from the council. One of the two. There's only two answers to that question. What's the answer?
I'll leave the vote in y'all hands.
You're not gonna
Like I
answer?
told you, I've done the research. There's nothing I saw that I thought would hurt us. They've corrected the issues they've had. We've had some of those same issues they have
We're
had.
not a cyber company. They are.
We have
That's
an
apples and
we have-
hand grenades.
It's not. We have an entire cybersecurity infrastructure. We keep Do we not keep your? We keep your social security number saved
I know.
in a software that is probably one of the easiest hackable
I know.
softwares in the world.
You talking about like when we got hacked and we were supposed to get a follow-up, what that was, a year ago? Still ain't heard nothing. Still hadn't heard nothing. Is that the one you telling me about? Okay,
So
thank you.
Chief Terrio came here and spoke about that issue.
We'll stick with the issue at hand, this one here that we have currently. I have a couple more lights here. You could stay there if you choose to. Jason, you want to want these guys? I'll let them, you'll yield for a second, let him, Mr. Trusclair, you'll yield so Jason can, go ahead.
So, you know, I could talk about my technology experience in the 30, 35 years I've been doing this and the amount of companies that I have dealt with on these kind of implementations to not have one but all of them involved in lawsuits. In fact, Mr. Pledger brought up one the other night with Oracle that I was personally involved in suing and winning against Oracle. So $160,000 lawsuit. You mentioned Oracle as an opportunity as a solution the other night. I worked against Oracle. I worked with the company that sued Oracle and won because of a poor implementation. Every one of these organizations is going to have a lawsuit or multiple lawsuits. My question to Mr. Voisin to you is, are you telling us to cut services with every organization that's been breached that we currently do work with? Based on what you're saying tonight, yes, I asked you a question. Do you think we should cut services with every organization that we work with that's been breached?
No.
Yes or no? No? So
No.
why is this one an example, a difference?
This is cybersecurity.
They're not a cybersecurity company, but every company deals with
That's
cybersecurity.
the issues that they've had.
All
is with
companies have had
cyber-
those issues.
But not to this
So any
magnitude.
software company we go to,
Wrongdoing.
every software company we're gonna deal with is gonna have a lawsuit like this. So do we quit running the system it's gonna cost us $2 million. And we're gonna save $500,000 a year. Every company we deal with, because last time I checked, myself and Robbie are the experts in this field.
Oh.
Every company that we deal with is gonna have this problem.
Mhm.
So if you're going off the fact that we cannot work with a company that's been building a cybersecurity lawsuit, we're gonna have to start firing vendors today.
So first of all, it went from 2.5 to 2.7. Okay, let's start there.
2.7.
Then, really never was really mentioned, but every year, $400,000, which is not written in stone. I'm telling you, you jumping the gun on this deal with this particular company. From everything that I've read about this company, so many issues, wrongdoing by the company, by the employees of the company, the people with the company. It's not just things that happen. It's things that have been exercised, deniability. And then they actually came back and admitted it, the things they did incorrectly. And finally, the company was able to recoup their money. The municipality was able to recover their dollars. The whole point of this is we asked the specific question and we got a completely different answer than the truth. So if every company does have these things, why would it have been a problem to tell us when the question was asked? You planned on, you chimed in today, why you didn't chime in Monday? You know, if it's unimportant, why didn't you? Hit him. He's good?
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah, he's
Bergeron?
good.
Okay.
Bet he's
Mr. Well, just make sure that I'm clear, Mr. Bergeron. I did bring up Oracle NetSuite. And specifically what I said, we can reverse that tape, rewind that tape. I said that after Mr. Lee mentioned that Tyler Technologies was our only option or the only company whom provided the ERP services, I said that's misinformation because I've specifically worked with Oracle NetSuite myself, so I know there's another company that provides that service. Just to make sure, just to make sure we're clear, that's exactly what I said verbatim. Mr. Harding.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I heard the term taxpayers. Mr. Robert Lee worked for the taxpayers. We work for the taxpayers. We all represent the taxpayers. We are here for the taxpayers. Mr. Voisin, I actually made a substitute motion to Mr. Hamner's motion, which is perfectly legal for him to do that. Discussion comes up basically from the public's position. And right now, I do believe that is something that we up here have to be talking about. That's the issue. My thing is that you said you're gonna come back in 6 months, now that you're here and you brought this point up. Come back in 6 months. With the substitute motion that Mr. Voisin has, how much time do we actually have to actually work with before we have to lose any money from the position that we are in? And I'm looking at it from the point that we're having more being discovered about the particular company we're dealing with. So at this particular point, we're looking at revisiting. If we actually take the substitute motion and we have an opportunity to revisit and put ourselves in a better position or have a better understanding. Now, I'm on record for supporting this, but I'm also on record now that I have more information and to know better and still be able to support it. But I do believe if we have an opportunity to actually go another 2 weeks or whatever time it is for us to actually solve this thing out, and we won't be so passionate by having ourselves to be exposed and we out of character and not taking care of the business of the people. I think in both aspects that we here, if we buy ourselves more time, if we have time, we'll be doing the best thing that I feel for the citizens of Terrebonne Parish.
So can I respond?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I completely understand that, right? Like, and I get it. The school board here has used it for over 15 years with zero
But
issues.
we want to do it
But
right
I understand,
now.
but like,
We want to deal with right.
at what point do we trust the experts in our parish
Now
that
listen
is
to what I'm
currently
saying,
also
Mr.
using
Lee.
it?
I'm only dealing with the issue that we're dealing right now.
I don't believe we have 2 more weeks. Every time we add,
But that's the
I've
answer to my
already
question.
added, because we wanted to take so long to look at this correctly. I had actually hoped to have this to y'all in May. And just how much time, how much research we had to do, how much looking into everything we had to do to see what solutions we could use and things it could replace, and getting the final numbers of if it would be a cost savings or not, because that was the ultimate goal, was a cost savings to the residents. We were ready to put it up. We felt like this was the right solution. This is the thing we could save the most money on. And it has already pushed us back about 2.5 months already. To push us back 2 more weeks when we're slated to hopefully start implementation this week wouldn't push us back 2 weeks. It would push us back drastically farther, if not maybe another month or 2. With the amount of questions that are being had, I don't see us being able to finish it out in 2 more weeks and come back here. Again, I feel like there's a lot of people around. Lafayette has had 0 issues in the over decade that they've used it. Lafourche has used it for over 15 years. The school board has used it for close to 15 years, and without issue at all, without even any cybersecurity issue. But again, at the end of the day, my job is to present you guys with stuff, and your job is to vote on that thing. I presented, you vote.
I'm good.
You good? Thank you, Ms. Harding. Mr. Trosclair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm gonna go back. I'm continue on with the Cook County because that's the only information that we have. And I'm all about saving money and, getting a product that works for us. Cook County property tax contract with Tyler, their starting cost was $30 million. Their cost to date was $38.4 million. Okay? It's been delayed 5 years. Their circuit court clerk contract, the starting cost was $36.4 million. The cost to date is $48.1 million, 1.7 years late. Illinois Supreme Court contract, $8.2 million starting cost. Cost to date, $98.3 million, ongoing since 2016. Oversight cost to Cook County. What Cook County did, they authorized $22 million to an outside consultant to watchdog the troubled projects, Tyler projects. Okay, and $59 million more to tech companies and former employees to keep hosting data on an outmoded mainframe Tyler was supposed to help replace years ago. Okay, So oversight cost to Cook County, the starting cost was 2.7. I just stated they authorized 22 million. They're at 21.8 million now. The mainframe cost to Cook County, starting cost 8.3 million, cost to date 59 million. So Cook County didn't save a whole lot of money. All right. Now, I can't say anything because I don't, anything to say that they not qualified or couldn't handle our business, okay? They couldn't handle our needs. I would think with this being brought to light, which started Monday, and today, because at this point, we scrambled in the last 2 days to come up with something to justify approving this, okay? I would suggest, and I'm in total support, I seconded the motion, the substitute motion, that why don't you bring Tyler back to this council meeting? Let Tyler explain to us and what their corrections are and what can we expect from them to us, eyeball to eyeball, like you sitting up there taking this heat. Let them take the heat. I mean, then we can make an informed decision whether we for it or against it. At this point, I don't want nothing. Now, this is just one. I can't imagine this is the only problem Tyler's had, because I think there's like 15,000. I saw 15,000 municipalities throughout the nation that they service. So you're right. There probably a lot of them. The majority of them have no issues. I don't want to be the one that stands out. Okay. And there's no guarantee one way or the other, but at least if I can be convinced by Tyler or somebody representing Tyler that can say, this is what we did to correct this is what we're doing. And yes, this did happen, and we had issues, and these are our corrected measures. Okay? You don't know what the corrected measures are. You sit there and say they corrected them. Well, I gotta take your word for that. You probably ain't never walked in a Tyler office in your career. Maybe you did. I don't know.
I have.
But either way, I mean, I need somebody to explain to me and convince me that I need to support this, or I definitely need to reject it. At this point, I definitely need to reject it. Thank you.
So, I can reach out to him, but I know we can't openly speak about our lawsuits. So I could not imagine that another entity that is in a lawsuit with another government agency could get up here and discuss it openly when we can't discuss our lawsuits openly. We have to go in executive session for those issues. So I highly doubt, but I have no problem presenting that to them. Again, I feel like we've done our due diligence on this. Not only myself, but my team feels extremely comfortable. Anybody who knows Brian Rodrigue, who is our cybersecurity guy, right? He's our main guy, has felt good with everything we've looked at. I've presented it with y'all. If y'all want me to go back to them and get them to come in, I can. We'll push this back even further, which is I do not agree with it. But at the end of the day, my job is to present something to you guys and for you guys to vote.
Okay, Mr. Hamner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The other night I said I supported the resolution to go into contract with Tyler Technologies with the resource, what is it called? The ERC, ERS.
ERP.
Yeah. And I still support that. And I'm gonna tell you why. Yeah, I did some of my own research. If you remember, Mr. Bergeron, Mr. Lee, in the beginning, y'all had to meet with, I asked for meetings with y'all 2 or 3 times, both together and separately, and you had to convince me that spending $2.5 million on something that was not infrastructure to go ahead and do that. And since then, I've learned that the cloud system, now, and I'm not the expert like you are, Mr. Bergeron, but the cloud system is almost an infrastructural system. Yeah, it's going to last for 10 to 15 years, and as the cloud advances, so will this ERS. It will advance. So it's going to last 30 years, hopefully, maybe 25, but it's going to last a lifetime for this system. In my research, I found no Louisiana-based agency or institution that is dissatisfied with the packages that they bought from Tyler Technologies. I can also tell you, as a former school system employee for 33 years, once I learned the system, it's instantaneous as far as getting information. Not to call you out, Mr. Harding, but you remember the information you were looking for Bayou Country Sports Park that took so long to get? Yeah, Ms. Malden, I'm sure, had to go through line by line in the book to find all that information. With this system, a press of the button by yourself and you would have it. You would have it instantaneously. I don't believe anything was hidden from the council. Might be a matter of the way you interpret it, but nothing was hidden from us. And it's something we need. I can tell you all this with the AS400. Is it AS400? That's what it's called?
Yes, sir.
That little squirrel that's running the cage, that's producing computer technology, it's gonna die any day now. That little squirrel is dying. And if we don't hurry up and find a spot for it, to replace a system to replace it, we're in a hell of a lot of trouble. I can tell you that. Some of the research I did, I also called the director of technology for the state retirement system and asked his opinion on Tyler Technology. And he said he highly recommends them if we can afford them, and we can. It's expensive, and it might be a Rolls Royce, but it is the absolute best for keeping up with the times, for advancement, for the almost daily changes in technology. He highly recommended it. I asked him why we don't use it at the state retirement system, because we don't have the multitude of different uses for it, that the retirement system has. But he said if they did, they would use it. When it comes to breaches, if I'll just say this: if every time my little bitty old credit card with a maximum limit got hacked and erroneous charges got put on it, and I'd have to call my bank, I'd be changing credit card companies and banks every 2 or 3 months. That's how often I get breached, and that's not a lot of money. But I urge the council to pass this and support the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamner. Seeing no further lights, I'd like to share a few things. I took some notes as I'm listening to this, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I'm probably the most tech savvy guy up here against these other guys, and because I'm sorry. Okay. Well, no. No, that's fine. That's fine. You're probably more tech savvy than me. How about that? I'm the second most tech savvy guy up here. All right. But well, Kim, yeah. But on a lighter note, though, based on what you shared, Mr. Lee, and like I mentioned the other night, I'm the one who sort of piqued everybody's interest. You mentioned, you said it's your job to present it to us. It's your job to present it to us, and it's our job to vote. However, in that, Mr. Hamner, he was made comfortable, or he was brought to a point where he understands and he's comfortable with it and all that, right? So I think it's fair for everyone to have that same comfort level before going to a vote on something as expensive as this, and also something that's going to involve this parish for years to come. And we're talking about the lawsuits and things. Excuse me, Mr. Babin, you're good? Okay, thank you very much. To deal with the lawsuits, that's one thing. Bringing them here to, talk about, we're not asking them to get into the details of their litigation, just put us in a comfortable place to make an informed decision on something like this, right? Just like we mentioned, I mentioned about the Oracle NetSuite, that was an option. And my
Yeah.
biggest concern is why we didn't look at other people other companies or entities to compare those two, to compare the three, the four, however many that it is. And also, we say the scare tactic, but we're saying it's 3 years before it sunsets. 2 weeks is gonna, that's just gonna stop the
Yeah.
world. Our cybersecurity or this system is just not gonna work. Candace has been using this system for years, and I don't think 2 weeks would, it would really break us or put us in a place where we're just gonna crash altogether.
I understand.
And also, you mentioned Tyler Technologies has its cybersecurity, and they have cybersecurity on top to police their cybersecurity. That just it's crazy to hear that, but at the same time, all I would like to see is an opportunity for us to have more information on Tyler Technologies might be the go-to folks, but we should vote and be comfortable with that vote. And not only that, everybody's talking about the security, everybody's talking about the lawsuits, but nobody's talking about that surcharge that they're going to charge our utility customers on the backside. That was a problem they had specifically with the excess charges that they were doing. And what I mean by that, they're going to do our utility billing for us. We're going to input all that information. They're going to do it, and the fine print at the bottom is going to cost $1.50 each time it's done. They're making that money. That's what I'm worried about. I'm not even talking about the legal side of it. I'm talking about what it's going to cost our taxpayers, and for us having a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that our taxpayers are getting the best bang for their buck, no matter how much we're spending. In this case, $2.7 million for an upgrade to our systems to get rid of the AS400, which I agree with totally. I still think that. And you said yourself that charge would be no more than $2.50. I read the 60 or 70 page contract. That's what it said. It'll be no more than $2.50. However, it's still a charge that's going to be charged to our people. And I would negotiate that, since that's my wheelhouse. I'm a good negotiator. That's what I do for a living. We can go back to them. Hey, look, instead of $2.50, cut us some slack. How about $1? If you want our business, you'll do it. But at the same time, that's where I'm at on it. We have a substitute motion on the floor by Mr. Clayton Voisin, seconded by Mr. Steve Trosclair. Members, vote your machines. Votes 4 yeas, 5 nays. We'll go back to the original motion by Mr. Clyde Hamner, seconded by Mr. Carl Harding. Seeing no lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 5 yeas, 4 nays.
Can I say one last thing?
Motion passed. It's over. We're done. Item B, Community Development and Planning Committee, Mr. Champagne. Light, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Community Development and Planning Committee held on Monday, July 13th, 2026, and I have 4 public hearings. Number 1, I give notice of intent to adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the parish of Terrebonne, so as to rezone from R1 Single Family Residential to R3 Multifamily Residential, 291 and 295 Pontiff Street, lots 10 and 11, Block 4, Pontiff Subdivision, Addition Number 4, home of Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Barry Billiot and Reginald Patterson applicants, and calling a public hearing on said matter for Wednesday, August 26, 2026 at 6:30 PM. Item number 2, introduce an ordinance to authorize a temporary relocation of the polling places for Terrebonne Parish precincts 038, 041, and 081 from East Homer Branch Library to Oak Lawn Middle School for certain election dates during renovations to the East Homer Branch Library, to provide for required notices, filing, accessibility, documentation, and related election administration, and to provide for related matters, and call a public hearing on Wednesday, July 29, 2026 at 6:30 PM. Item number 3, introduce an ordinance amending the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances to abolish the Parade Safety Committee and repeal and amend certain sections of the Code of Ordinances related thereto, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, July 29, 2026 at 6:30 PM. Item number 4, introduce an ordinance to amend the Parish Code of Terrebonne Parish by adding to Chapter 18 Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 4, Operation of Vehicles, Division 2, Parish Section 18-91B1, to establish a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit zone along the entirety of Rural Drive, Retreat Drive, and St. Agnes Drive, to provide for an installation of said signs, and to provide for other matters relative thereto, and call a public hearing on Wednesday, July 29, 2026 at 6:30 PM. Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Champagne, second by Mr. Trosclair. Seeing the lights, members vote your machines. Votes 9-0. Motion passes. Item C, Public Service Committee, Mr. John Amity.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Public Services Committee held on Monday, July 13th, 2026, and I have no public hearings.
Motion by Mr. John Amity, second by Mr. Steve Trosclair. Seeing the lights, members vote your machines. Votes 8-0. Motion passes. Item 4, streetlights. Approve streetlights installation, removals, and/or activations. We had no streetlights were submitted as of agenda deadline. No action is necessary there. Item 5, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. Item A, Library Board of Control, one expiring term on 7/9/26. Ms. Devona Simmons expresses her interest in being reappointed. Have a motion by Mr. Amity to open, close, and reappoint Ms. Simmons, second by Mr. Clyde Hamner. Seeing the lights, members vote your machines. Votes 8-0. Congratulations, Ms. Simmons. Are you here, Ms. Simmons? Nope. Okay, congratulations to Ms. Simmons. Item B, Recreation District Number 11 Board. 2 expired terms. Reverend Vincent Fusilier Sr. expresses his interest in being reappointed. Mr. Murphy Amos Mosley submits application and resume for consideration.
I'll make a motion to.
Go ahead, Mr. Harding, I'm sorry.
I make a motion to open, close, and appoint Mr. Fusilier, and hold the appointment dealing with Mr. Mosley until we have further information from our legal.
Okay, have a motion on the floor by Mr. Harding to open, close, and appoint Mr. Fusilier and hold the other appointment over. Mr. Danny Babin?
Well, I need a second.
Oh, you second?
No, I'm not seconding. You need a second. He made a
Right,
motion.
right,
There was
right,
no
clearly.
second.
Well, I was addressing your light. That's what I was
No,
wanting.
but I can't speak until there's a motion and a second.
Okay. Second by Mr. Steve Trosclair.
I make a substitute motion that we hold both over until the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Have a substitute motion on the floor by substitute motion by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Clyde Hamner. Mr. Clyde Hamner, you got the light?
No.
Mr.
Sorry, I just.
All right, you good? Mr. Hardy?
Ms. Neal, what was the reason? Because, your conversation with the chairman, and I'm actually following suit, to,
Ms. Neal?
so we can go forward. So what's your position that we have on this particular item?
Yes, sir. Excuse me, Mr. Pledger and I had a conversation this morning about the different motions that could be entertained by the council tonight for this item. He had some discussions with me about the status of the recreation district, and he would like to obtain some more information about the recreation district before, or he says that he thinks the council may want some more information too before we move forward on the item tonight. To go into specifics, we can't go into specifics tonight because all we have before us is the appointment, and the specifics can't be discussed on the agenda.
And the specifics having to do with one appointment, not both. So we can make an appointment tonight and actually deal with the other.
Yes, sir. So the motion so anytime that there's a motion on the floor, the council has to vote on the motion that's on the floor. So you did make the motion to appoint one and hold the other over. And Mr. Babin has made a substitute motion. So now the substitute motion is on the floor, so you have to vote on that one.
Right.
So it would have been sufficient to vote on the motion that you made had there been no substitute.
Okay. All right, Mr. Babin, you good?
Yeah, and the reason I made that substitute motion, earlier tonight, we had a gentleman up here speaking about Rec 11, how many problems he was having with Rec 11. Ms. Wallace got up and spoke about some problems we had with Rec 11. I would like to take a look at, since we excluding one, I would like to exclude both of them tonight. That's why I made the substitute motion. Maybe within the next 2 weeks, we can find out a little bit more of some of the problems that they have in the Rec 11 that were brought to us tonight by two people. That's the reason for my substitute motion.
Mr. Harding?
Yeah, I can understand that. And those problems, when I regularly attend Rec 11 meetings, just as I'm aware of some other recreation districts that I'm associated with, and those recreation districts have problems, and there are some people that don't open their mouths, and there are problems that's there. But right now, what we're dealing with is having to have one person with their tenure to expire, and we have an opportunity to replace them, and not knowing all the facts, which I know most of the facts, and dealing with the reason why we are doing it in the manner that we're doing it, we're moving forward by appointing one and not appointing the other.
So, and also, Mr. Harding, you did bring up a good point. Is the term that is expiring that Mr. Fuselier sits on now, under the law, the member who serves on the current term shall serve until his appointment, until his replacement or until he's reappointed. So he won't vacate the seat until he's either replaced or until his reappointment occurs. So he can maintain his position on the board until then.
Question, suppose is an opportunity given for a third person to enter this, if we actually revisit this?
If you hold both positions open, there will be opportunities for more people to bring their resumes, yes.
Right, therefore.
Okay.
No, I'm not gonna say anymore now.
You good, Mr. Harding?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, and just to make sure that we're clear, everybody understands, just so everybody kind of is aware, everything's happening pretty quick here, but we have a motion, and then we have a substitute motion on the floor. However, now, we mentioned Miss April, she's on the board herself currently now. Mr. Fuselier, who Mr. Harding suggested would be appointed in his motion, he's on the board currently now. Mr. Babin is suggesting that we hold all of it over until further information is needed. However, my specific, I can't go into details with it based on my conversations with legal, but it was only with one specific, the one appointment here, and it wasn't Mr. Fuselier. So with that being said, we have a substitute motion on the floor by Mr. Danny Babin, second by Mr. Clyde Hamner. Seeing no further lights and or discussions, members vote your machines on the substitute motion. Votes 5 yeas, 4 nays. Next item on the agenda. Both positions will be held over. Item C, Fire District Number 5 Board, 1 vacancy due to a resignation and 1 expired term. Mr. Gilbert B. Dardar Jr. submits application for consideration.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Steve Trosclair to open and appoint Mr. Dardar and hold the others over. Second by Mr. Clyde Hamner. Seeing the lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 9-0. Congratulations, Mr. Dardar. Are you here, Mr. Dardar? All righty. Moving along, item number 6, monthly engineering reports, Milford and Associates. Need a motion? No, we need a motion. Motion by Ms. Kim Chauvin, second by Mr. Carl Harding. Seeing the lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 6-0, motion passes. Item 7, vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. 7A, Recreation District Number 2-3 Board, 1 vacancy due to a resignation. Recreation District Number 3A Board, 1 vacancy due to a resignation. Fire District Number 5 Board, 1 vacancy due to a resignation. Child and Youth Services Planning Board, 1 expiring term on 7/24/26, representing DCFS. 4 expired terms and 1 vacancy due to resignation, each representing the following entities: 1 representing social services, 1 representing mental health, 1 faith-based organization, and 1 representing recreation, and 1 representing the Office of District Public Defender. 32nd JDC, TGMC Hospital Service District, 2 expiring terms on 7/31/26. Home and Terrebonne Public Trust Financing Authority, 1 vacancy due to a resignation. Item 8, council members request discussion. 8A, Councilmember Clayton Voisin Jr. requests discussion with possible action regarding the recent heavy rainfall event and associated flooding issues across Terrebonne Parish. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, with speaker cards at this time is when we'll address or acknowledge all of our speaker cards. We have quite a few here. And the first speaker card that I'd like to call, or are you good with the speaker cards first? All right. The first speaker card I have is Ms. Shelby Parfait. And she'd like to address the flooding in her area. No flood zone, Z, grants available. Ms. Parfait, name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Shelby Parfait, and my address is 414 Jean Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70360. And that is the Bayou Cane area, if no one's familiar with that area. Please forgive me. I've never been to anything like this or been up here like this. I came today to represent people in my area and someone with a level head and understanding I'm not trying to point fingers or blaming just anyone for the situation we're all in. I know it goes into different categories. Someone has to answer for someone, and then someone has to answer for that person as well. And I know people are coming together to try to better our parish in our areas. But there's a lot of things that go undone as well. Like, I'm concerned. I just bought this house a year ago. It made a year the month that we had this hurricane or this storm. And I simply flooded because of this heavy rain. There was no draining going on in my area. I got almost 5 and some inches in my home, and outside my home in my backyard area, I got over 9. No history of flood before in that area or my home when I went to purchase this home. I'm not even required to have flood insurance because of the zone I'm in. And what I'm concerned about is I'm so sorry, about the drainage, about them being properly cleaned and maintained throughout the year, not just when we're getting a storm. Or having someone coordinated to have a schedule to where they do go clean it every month, every 2 months, or, making sure there's no cracked culverts, no cracked pipes, that, oh shoot, even the neighbors making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do to maintain their yard that these culverts are in. Those people should be held accountable as well. They have tons of junk, their debris, they're leftover of this, they're leftover that, and they're not being held accountable for the trash that they're throwing as well. And I'm not just talking Coke cans and paper. I'm talking, cement that's cracked, the culverts, the overgrown shrub, the back where all this water goes, it's filthy back there. Where all this water leads off. My drainage is going into the back, and so is Martin Luther King's. I'm right behind the Goodwill in that area. So their drainage is coming back there as well. And then from my understanding, what I've just learned is the pumping that's done right there on Rouse's off of South Van, if I'm not mistaken. Is that Savan? Okay. That is not even completed. That pumping area is not completed. And that's where we rely on that pumping station for my area. And I know I'm not the only one that's being flooded. And I understand it's happening not just in my street, not just in my yard. I understand there's several people being affected by this. And my concern is, I'm originally from the east side or from Dulac down that way. I'm not new to flooding. I know how it goes, I grew up in a home where it flooded 6 feet, I understand that. But now I'm doing the right things and moving and purchasing my own home, my first home, just me and my son. I did all the things I was supposed to do. I crossed all my T's and dotted all my I's. And now I'm dealing with flooding that wasn't put into my budget because I didn't need that coverage. And now all of a sudden I have neighbors who've lived there for 12 years and they've never flooded, and now they have flood. I have people next to me, they built it up their land and now they have flood. And I understand everybody has to answer to someone, and I'm going to have to answer for my damage now. And yes, I'm going through the different steps to get help. And sometimes that even feels like a loop after a loop, I would love to I would love to have my house lifted if that's necessary, but then I have to jump through hoops for that. FEMA this, grants that, I understand I'm going to have to answer for those things too, and I have to put in the work. It's just difficult and so disappointing. I did all the right things. I didn't ask for help from my house. Oh, single mom, single this, single that. I did it all on my own. And now I'm stuck in a position where I have to ask my community, my parish, my people, and come learn all these things and these new things because of now flooding. If it was a malfunction, it needs to be addressed. I do believe that it should be more maintained throughout the whole entire year, not just when we're getting a so-called hurricane or hurricane season. Like we accumulate water all year. If that area already has water, why shouldn't it be pumped out somewhere else so it can evenly go out? And then when it does flood, it has somewhere to go when they do pump it. So my concern is I've only had this house for a year, and now I'm having to look to raise when I was so happy and so excited I was going to be in an area where I didn't have to worry about that. There was no concern before. So at this point, what's going to keep happening? Everybody's going to keep moving north because we're flooding and becoming a bowl like every other parish around here. We're going to end up flooding. So can't say, oh, we'll move to the west side. Nobody floods there. Well, guess what? We're flooding. So where are we moving next? That's my main concern. And other things I know people have said, like their house, oh, well, so-and-so bought out the house or FEMA bought the house because, it flooded so many times. What good does that do for our community? Nobody gets to build a home there. Nobody gets to live there and take care and love the city we're in. It's just an empty lot sitting there because nobody wanted to take the time to say, well, maybe we should raise it and we should build up the land. Now we're just staring at empty lots everywhere. I'm sorry.
Take your time, man.
More?
Please share.
I'm sorry. That's my mom and my son. Sorry, I'm a little emotional because it's upsetting. I've done all this on my own, and now I have to humble myself to ask someone for help. Do y'all know how much flood insurance can be? You know, and I know y'all know, but do you know how much that can be? All these people who love this community, who want to stay here, are finally asking for help, and we just want to be heard. And we do want help. And don't get me wrong, I've had amazing people. I was like, oh, Clayton reached out to me personally, you know, because I know what he can do and he can talk. And other people have reached out to me or sent me to someone else. And I've had success and I've had help. But at the same time, there's so many things to have to jump through for that. And the people who do love our community and who want to stay here and don't want to keep moving and don't want to have to keep dealing with these things. If we could come together and build up our parish better, that's what we need, truly, so people can enjoy our community. And I mean, that's all I have to say. I mean, I'm not much into politics, so there's only so much I know, but I can just give my story. And, you know, there is testimony in that as well. You know, I have been treated good. I have talked to good people, but how far will that go? You know? Oh, yeah, just a week ago, we got heavy rain, almost flooded again. This week, it flooded. Got halfway up my carport. If it would have rained another good 30 minutes, I probably would have been flooded. You know, and my house flooded within 35 minutes of that heavy rain. It took over 2 hours. It settled in my house after the rain. It stayed in my house for over 2 hours before it started to move. So something is wrong. Where? I don't know. But something is wrong.
We can't have if we have, excuse me, ma'am, Ms. Parfait, but as long as please have respect for our speakers that's up there. If they're up there speaking, give them that full-fledged, your undivided attention, not make any comments or anything like that. We don't want it to disturb anyone. We want to make sure everybody's heard. Thanks. Go ahead, Ms. Parfait.
There's not much I can say, but like, I don't want to repair my home with the money I did receive. Okay, you know, through FEMA. The money I did receive, what am I supposed to do? Put up new walls, and then in 2 months, we just say we do get a hurricane, a real hurricane. I've wasted what I've been given so graciously. I'm losing it because it will flood again. This was just a heavy rainstorm. And that's my concerns. I'm so scared to do all this work. I'm grateful for it, but I'm so scared to do all this work. And in 2 months, or shoot, next week at this point, I end up flooding again. So then where am I left off? That's my main concern. And I feel like everybody needs to hear that. I know y'all know these things are going on, but it took a lot of courage to get up here and to be someone with a level head and someone who's just not wanting to point the finger, who's wanting you to hear someone with a true voice and who's really dealing with it. And that's just why I took the opportunity to come up here. Yeah. And I do want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to come up here. So.
Thank you, Ms. Parfait. We really appreciate your brave spirit to come up here and share. But we do understand and we do hear what you have to say.
Yes, I really do appreciate it. And I might have to leave because, you know, the little one over there. So.
That's fine. Thank you, ma'am. You have a great rest of
I
your
appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Bajeron, you want to share something?
Yeah, I do want to say that I have a few words, and I didn't want to comment after each person that spoke, so I want to let each person speak, and then whoever wants to speak up here, and then we're going to provide some information. So not to just let people know I'm not responding. I just want to give an overall response after the day, after they're done.
All right, Ms. Chauvin.
I'm just saying, in case she's leaving, you may want to get that information to her. You said you can. Okay, all right. I figured you did.
All right.
Thanks.
Next speaker card that we have is Miss Valerie Pitts. Small business, recent disaster from June 16th through the 18th. Ms. Pitts?
Hi, my name is Valerie Pitts. I'm with the Small Business Administration Office of Disaster Recovery. I am here just representing you guys from June the 7th through the 18th for the storm that where she was actually speaking of. And this is one of the main parishes, and we have applications for loans. August 31st, 20 through 26. But before you say loan, nobody want a loan, which I understand, which we are from businesses. If businesses were actually impacted, due to they just lost revenue just from clientele coming in, or if a tree fell through the roof, just whatever, we're offering low interest loans to them. And businesses is at 4%, and credit elsewhere is at 8%. Home loans to homeowners is 2.875%, and we do up to 30 years, 0% interest for the first year. And elsewhere with the home loans is 5.75. And when I say economic injury, just as I mentioned earlier, if you couldn't pay your payroll because you didn't get enough people coming in, you didn't have enough clients walking through, we offer those type loans as well. And the maximum loan time is 30 years. And we give up to $500,000 for homeowners and up to $2 million for businesses. And right now, we're located at the main Terrebonne Library. Yes, so if someone wants to go and apply, and if they need assistance applying, if you're not computer literate or just need some assistance, they have people up there that's actually there to help assist.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Kim Chauvin?
Yes, I'd like to be able to get about, do you have about 20 of these? Because I'm going to personally deliver to the ones that I know that were affected by that. Huh?
If she doesn't.
She has them. We're going to use SBA.
All right, thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Our next speaker card is Mr. Nolan LaBeouf, if I got that right. And he'd like to address the council on water, Oakshire.
Pretty much throughout the whole parish.
All right, name and address for the record, sir.
My
Yes,
name's
sir.
Nolan LaBeouf. I live at 5119 Bayou Black Drive, Gibson, Louisiana. I own several parcels of land throughout Terrebonne Parish. It's not just in Gibson, different areas. Everyone talks about this area, that area, this area, and that area. You need to look at this situation that you got as a whole, not, for instance, North Terrebonne Parish, from Lafourche to the intercoastal. Mainly the gray area, we got a ditch that's called the CC ditch that runs just north of future I-49 that runs all the way to the end of Oakshire subdivision that ties into the St. Louis Canal Road, Bayou. All them new subdivisions that's being built drains into that. All of Coteau drains into that ditch. From Southland Mall to Bayou Gardens Boulevard, all the way to Coteau drains into that ditch. All right? Now you got all these new subdivisions that's at 11 plus elevation flowing down to 5, 6 foot elevation. They're naturally going to drain a lot quicker onto that 5 foot elevation. What needs to happen, we need to get a good drainage canal, not a ditch, not a CC ditch. It's only 15 foot wide, maybe 20 foot. But you got all North Terrebonne draining into that. Oakshire's going to flood. Broadmoor's going to flood. All that area from 24 to the CC ditch, from Coteau to the CC ditch. They got that new subdivision coming up on Coteau. That's a brand new subdivision. In the next 10 years, you're going to have people from them complaining that they flooding because it's all dumping into one ditch that runs parallel with Bayou Terrebonne. It used to dump into Bayou Terrebonne, but you got so much water flowing down Bayou Terrebonne that it inundates that ditch, so they dammed it off. Everything from Bayou Terrebonne going towards the CC ditch has been dammed off. No water flows north. All flows south, okay? Y'all need a better drainage canal. Everything dumps into the St. Louis Canal that inverts dumps into your B11 pump project over there by Hollywood. I know what I'm talking about. I did research. Now, not only that, everyone's looking at just, hey, this area. Let's look, how much of Lafourche Parish water is pumped on Terrebonne Parish? Huh? We go from Labadyville all the way to LA 20 that's dumped into Chacahula Swamp that comes down the Terrebonne Lafourche Drainage Canal, which runs out of my front door. So I see the water that comes out from Lafourche. I know for a fact that they got 4 major pump stations that flows down into the Phillips 66 that dumps into the Chacahula Swamp. After Katrina, I think it's Morgan City area, built a levee around the whole thing. It used to naturally drain. They'd fill the Chacahula Swamp, and it would naturally drain into the lake over there, Lake Palourde. They built that levee. It stopped. LA 20 started flooding because of that levee system. We don't have that natural drainage. What we need to do is dig more canals. We don't need to put new pump stations. We need to get the water moving. Savan, for instance, that big pump station y'all got, y'all gonna cram 4 pumps right there in that one area, and that canal runs all the way from LA 20 all the way to Hollywood just about, okay? But y'all gonna put 4 pumps in this area. You're gonna draw all that water from the 11-foot plus up there. Why not put a pump station over there by the 4 lane and have 2 different areas pumping water into that big reserve you're building? You build a big reserve, you put a levee around that way you can hold the water. Hold the water. Right now, you flooding other people. You flooding all 311, Whiskey Bayou, all that area. I've never seen the water go over them people's driveway. You know what? Now their driveway is the canal. Because you're pumping so much water in different places. You're pumping water 2 and 3 times. Lafourche pumps from LA 1 to Terrebonne Parish's line, every drop of water, into the Phillips 66 Canal with 4 pumping areas that's got 4 and 5 foot pumps. They got 2 30-inch pumps in one area, 2 4-foot, and a 5-foot in each area. That's four different areas. All that water gets pumped down to Phillips 66. It's stopped by St. Mary Parish. It backs up in the swamp between 311 and Big Bayou Black. That water's got to go somewhere. Now you put these big pumps out in Gibson. You put one at Elliott Jones, one at Hanson. You put 4 massive pump stations. All right. I want to say that 50 inches. I might be wrong. It might be a little smaller, but let's say 48-inch pumps. You got 4 of them running down a canal that's 75 foot wide, 6 foot. Oh, we're going to dig the ditch, the canal water. They dig it water. They dig it deeper. But at the end of the day, it's still 75 foot wide because every bit of that water's got to come through underneath a bridge that crosses Highway 182 that is 75 foot wide and 6 foot deep. You can't get enough water to them pumps. They lose prime. Y'all fixing to do the same thing behind Rouse's. You put 4 massive pumps, you're going to lose primes. They're going to be fighting each other. But if you put 2 pumps there and you put 2 pumps up there, you're drawing water from over here this way. Then you come here and you're drawing water this way. Now you're moving some serious water. But you got to have something to contain it. You got to build a levee system. You got to build a levee system around that whole swamp on Savan. The part of Savan from 311 to Bayou Black, I'm seeing flooding all the time out there. I drive that road every day. If I got to come into Houma, I got to be on that road. I live on 182. The biggest problem there right now with the water staying on there, you got a gravel shoulder on each side that's 8 inches taller than the road. The water can't get off the road. Water cannot get off the road. Cars pass, they make a little rut on the side of the road, we add more rock. We add more rock. Then they bring their grader. Y'all need to get people that knows how to work a grader. I work equipment all day. I can do it 7 days a damn week. But if you put the wrong people in the wrong tools, you just build a levee. They building a levee on each side. And then you got them bridges. Y'all call them bridges, I call them ramps, because when I hit it, I drive a dually. Back into my truck come off the ground most of the time if I'm not paying attention. If you're doing 30 mile an hour, my truck is going to jump up over there. Can we see about getting something done with them ramps that we got out there, especially the one behind Rouse's? You ever drove that in a dually? I'll give anyone a ride that wants to come and ride. And y'all see what I'm talking about. It's not just dualies, 3/4 tons, half tons. For instance, the Mike Street, Ziegler and all that, I went and do a little ride by and see what was going on. I went, like I told Mr. Clayton a while back, you can't move water. You don't know what water's doing if you're going to sit behind a desk while it's raining. You got to get out there before it starts raining and when it ends raining. You need to see where the water starts and it stops. I did that for the Ziegler area. These people got ditches behind their houses and closed ditches in the front. The closed ditches was designed to flow the water out of the street and out of the front yards into the ditch behind the houses. Well, the ditches behind the houses are plugged up. The bottom's higher than the ditches in the front. The back ditches drain into the front. And then it drains to the back. Well, that lady just was saying, everyone dumps on us. Everyone, Martin Luther King. That's right. All Martin Luther King dumps off in that reserve. Where they got that motel right there, they got 2 4-foot culverts that runs underneath the side. And that's the only thing that drains that area that I've seen. I ain't seen no other opening besides 2 4-foot and 1 maybe 5-foot culvert by the mattress shop. That area is going to flood all the time if y'all don't do something with them culverts. It's pretty much all I got, man. Y'all got a big problem, but it's not just one area problem. It's a whole parish problem with another parish dumping. Lafourche pumps every bit of that water on us, and then we pay again to pump their water off. Why is that? Why can't we divert that water through a canal, man-made canal? And there's many areas out in that swamp that can be done. Yes, I understand you got to fool with the core, you got to mess with this, you got to do that. But I think if we sit down and do a good study, forget about the engineers. You want to drain water? Talk to your farmers. They know what they're doing. They move water. Engineers move water too on paper. But them farmers move water by livelihood. Pretty much all I got for y'all right now. But if you want to see, I got maps. When you had North Terrebonne and South Terrebonne drainage, I helped the North Terrebonne drainage. I've got maps of the whole parish. And you can go on Google Maps and see the pump stations that I'm talking about that pumps water in Terrebonne Parish. Like I said, they pump it on 11 foot and it all drains down. And it drains down a hell of a lot faster in the high to low than the low can put out. We need some canals, not more pumps. We need canals to move the water that we got.
Thank you, Mr. LaBeouf. That was a wealth of information. Sounds like you know what you're talking about there.
I've been doing this since Barry Boveland. Wow. Barry Boveland's famous words: buy ducks, raise ducks.
There you go. You've been around a while.
But the man told me that straight up.
Yeah.
Go into duck farming.
Okay.
Get out of the cows, he said.
We appreciate it. And you can share some of that with our public works guy back there, Mr. David Rome, if you like to. But if that's all that you, that's all that you have, again,
yes, sir.
We appreciate your time.
Like I said, I got lots more, but y'all don't need me to ramble on because we can go.
This is what
I just bought a big parcel of land in Clayton, and Clayton knows what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
And I have water issues, but I have water issues due to some, and this is for another day and time, but we'll get it.
Appreciate you, Mr. LaBeouf.
You're welcome.
All right. Next speaker card is Miss Terry Bajeron, 901 Broadmoor Ave, flooding on 6/18/2026. Ms. Bajeron?
Terry Bajeron, 901 Broadmoor Avenue. No, I am nervous I'm doing this. I want to,
Take your time, ma'am. Take your time.
that won't help. Okay, for starters, good afternoon. Thank you for providing me with the opportunity to speak. I would like to mention that I had flooded in 2009 because the electricity went out, our generators didn't work with no electricity. That was the only time I flooded. I've been there for 25 years, 26 years maybe. This is the worst that I have seen it with the water levels. Yeah, I am nervous. Okay, I would like to mention that based on the water level that was in the ditch adjacent to my house prior to the storm, I do not believe that St. Louis Canal was effective pumped to provide as much rainfall rainfall storage as possible. So I don't know. I heard that it was pumped out, not all the way. They could have pumped more. Was it done timely? Do not know. I got water in my house. Also, once the water began overtopping the ditch into the yard, it began flowing through my yard. The way the current goes, I'm the buffer. I hold the water that comes when the ditch overflows. It got into the back part of my house, not the side part by the ditch. I keep sandbags in my driveway for hurricane season. I'm too old to pack them every year. I stack them up and I keep them there for the next hurricane season until I have to get new ones. The sandbags, I want to say, protected that side of the house. The water flow came from the back when the ditch started overflowing. It runs to the back end of the house, and then it also runs along the ditch toward the front end, and it goes down the street. When it overtops, the flowing through the yard toward my house, okay, as well as the road north, since that area around the school and the ballpark is much lower. So it does flow toward the school. And the school, there's good pictures, was horrible. I flooded due to the large amount of water flowing in the ditch that appeared to be held up at the culverts. When they built those culverts, when Michel Claude was our parish president, it wasn't done correctly. I've had several engineers tell me that, even one that was working on it at the time. It was not being done correctly. So, needless to say, now I get water in the house again. When comparing the water elevation on the two sides of the ditch directly after the storm, it was notably higher on my side, the west side, than the east side by St. Louis Canal side. It seems like the roadway and the culvert head wall was acting as a dam and directing the flow of water down the road to the north. As the water levels rose to the north, the water coming into the yard was equally, eventually making my house, way into my house. I would appreciate it if the parish could look further into this matter, especially any way to increase the flow in the culverts. The debris, I call often. Clayton came to the rescue the day before. Yes, I called last minute and asked. It was cleaned out. I usually make the phone calls before any hurricane comes because I know that debris coming down from the neighborhood. It makes its way to me. It stops on me. The house is going up for sale. My kids don't want to hear it. I've had enough. I'm not going to keep doing it. Yes, flood insurance is expensive. I've had flood insurance since I bought the house. It's going up. But if I have to worry, I have not finished from Ida. It was a total gut from Ida. And now brand new floors, walls. It's all got wet in 3 rooms. I was lucky that the side, the way the current goes, it went to the back side. 2 bedrooms and a brand new kitchen. Brand new kitchen is not going to be cheap to replace if it starts molding. And I was one of the lucky ones because I know people, and I was able to get blowers and dehumidifiers immediately. My son came to my rescue 5 o'clock in the morning, couldn't see the roads, took pictures very carefully in his truck, came slowly too because we don't want to cause damage in anybody else's house, started tearing apart floors so we can make sure the least damage as possible. But the pumps, was it the pumps? I know we had a lot of rain. Friday on July this 3rd, we had, wasn't that much rain. Ditch was almost full. What's going on with that? If the elevation of the ditch on my side is higher, I know that we got to jump. We have to make it flow, but it's not going. Something is coming up. It's not going, it's not doing correctly, and it needs to be looked at. You can't keep digging because my property is fixing to get taken away because the widening of the ditch. The parish is taken away, the parish is right away. When I first bought the house, any utility truck, energy, anybody that needed to get to the pole in my backyard could get there. Now they can't because the ditch gradually gets widened and it's not serving the purpose. We have a small culvert that dumps out from the other side of the road, and it comes right there to go through the 2 little culverts at the curb. I am the curb. I don't want the ditch. I bought the house. It's there. My neighbor right across from me, across from the ditch, did not get water because of the way it all flows, the current goes. I just want somebody to come out there. Yes, I did talk to engineers when they were doing it, when Michelle Claude hired them. Take a look at it. I know I heard we're getting a 3rd pump. What good is it going to do? Were the pumps on? I want to say, I would want to believe that they were on. I don't want to listen to everybody saying no, they wasn't. I've heard people say that, yes, St. Louis Canal was drained. Then I'm hearing that it wasn't drained. We started draining it too late. We wasn't expecting this much rain. It wasn't supposed to stop and hover over us. I get that. But as an individual that has to keep repairing the houses, it's not fun. We work our normal jobs. We don't get all this big pay. We do what we have to do. And yes, I've had flood insurance and it doesn't matter. You still got to fight them. So that's all. Thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am, Ms. Bergeron, for sharing. Next speaker card is Ms. Stacy Bowman. Correct, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right, and Ms. Stacy would like to share flooding in Bayou Cane. Name and address for the record, please, ma'am.
My name's Stacy Bowman. My address is 426 Jane Street. Stop picking on me. I'm coming to talk about the flooding. My home was built in 1968. My mom bought it in 1969. The house had flooded, she said 69 or 70, and also in like 93. My mom believes that it was hurricanes. My mom's also 86 years old, so anyhow. The water rose so fast yesterday. I mean, the other day that I was I was fearing that flooding again. And every time that water rises and it comes into our yards, our plumbing goes crazy. You can't flush your toilet because it's either going to come straight back at you or it's just not going to flush. You can't wash dishes, you can't wash clothes, you can't do nothing. And one of my concerns is why hasn't the pump station behind Rouse's on MLK been completed or even started under this administration in order to prevent the flooding of us residents that reside around in this area? If it's money, I mean, if it's about money or whatever, what's the price tag for the safety and the security of us people of Terrebonne Parish? I mean, we will be paying closer attention to the spending in this parish, so that way we'll know the things that the administration believes is more important than our security. I truly feel like there's stuff going on that we are not aware of, and I really hope that the pumps are working. Because if they are, because we have a big ditch at the end of our road on Jean Street. We have a huge ditch. It's overflowing. I mean, it's just nothing's happening here. It's staying in our yards, in our homes. I had water in my house for Arthur. And I mean, I shouldn't have had water, y'all. I had water in my car. I work my butt off to make sure that my house is decent. I just put tiled floor in my house, vinyl tile floor, not even a year ago. I mean, I love my home. I love our parish. I just wish that we could have more protection from this water and everything. And I really appreciate our congressman we've seen him and he came talk to us several times, Clayton Wazan, during all these flooding and everything. He has been a godsend because, I mean, you know, he tells us, you know, trying to help, and I believe in him. I do. I've seen what he's done prior, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. We appreciate you sharing your concerns with us.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dwayne wants to discuss flooding. Dwayne, I don't know, can you say that last name?
Yeah. Guerrero. He's going?
Guerrero. Okay, all right. Okay, with that being said, you would like to go, Mr. Holland? There's no more speaker cards. I mean, we do have an open discussion here. It's on the agenda, so if anybody else like to share, you're more than welcome to come up and share. If not, we'll turn it over to Mr. Clayton Voisin.
I'll give y'all a little something.
What you got, Connie?
A little something, something. I highly suggest.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yep, Connie Berg, everybody knows that. Connie Berg, 5953 Alma Street, Houma, Louisiana. I highly recommend, I grew up on Upper Locaia, and my parents at the age of 75 lost their house because it was flooded 3 times. And I want y'all to understand that FEMA, they'll pay you once, they'll pay you twice. The 3rd time around, they'll take care of you and shut you down. They will condemn your house. You will not be able to get a permit unless you lift your house. So you're done. So I want y'all to understand that your best bet to avoid all of this drainage, because they're not going to be able to solve this overnight. We could be flooded again tomorrow.
Ms. Berg, can you address us?
Oh, well, they want to hear what I have to say more than look at you.
Well, we just have to maintain order, that's all.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
That's
How
all.
about if I do sideways? Because they're prettier than you.
Well, no, I'm saying if you, I mean, you can't give them advice here at our meeting.
Okay.
You have to address us as
I
a
will
council
address you
because
so
it's an
that way-
agenda item.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Like I said, I've dealt with it firsthand on a personal level, and I want these people to understand this is not going to stop. My parents flooded in 84, in 2005, and 2008. So I can promise you this is going to happen again. They're going to try their best to get as much of it done as possible. Myself, I think all the grant money, there's 2.5 million here and $1 million there and $10 million for a pump station somewhere else in by Terrebonne. We got enough pumping stations. Clean the ditches, dig the bayous. They flow when they clean, not when they clogged up with grass or trash. We had a telephone pole that was laying down off of St. Louis Canal Road. It's been there for previous hurricanes. It's a brand new pole, nothing done to it, but it was laying in somebody's yard. It floated across St. Louis Canal. It floated from one side, from an empty lot, all the way to Westview. I have been begging this parish since the Dove administration to get in those ditches and clean them out. And by the grace of God, once this new administration got in there, they got somebody with weed eaters and cleaned them ditches. Some of them, not all of them. But they did get some done, and I sure admire that. They trying. But there's so much that has to be done for drainage from subdivisions that were built back in the 50s when they were using 12-inch culverts to put on Thunderbird. Mr. Vauzan was with Mr. Martin the other day riding down, and the guy that was with him, Mrs. Stevens or something was his name. I don't remember his name, but he was very wise because he showed you right then and there. He said, you see this ditch? You got a culvert that's half full with dirt. You got an oak tree that's got roots in the ditch, and the man can cut his grass. Oh, his grass is pretty, but I bet you he's got water in his yard. So I highly recommend, there's a grant right now that's available, and I know you're going to have to jump. It's a circus. You're going to have to jump through hoops. But I promise you, that's your best bet to save your house. I promise you that. The people who raised their houses on Westview didn't have a problem. Now they got two houses back there that look like they're in Cocodrie because they're 17 foot up in the air. On Westview. That's ridiculous. Lake Homer needs to be cleared out of vegetation so it can hold more water. The ditches on St. Louis Canal all need to be cleaned. Dug, not just clean, not just cut the grass. I want to see an excavator. And I actually volunteered my time tonight to Mr. Daniel Rome. If you want to teach me how to work an excavator, I am more than welcome to get after it. I got no problems with it. So, but I'm telling y'all now, don't expect this to stop tonight. Your house is going to flood again. It might not be right now. It might be years from now. But to protect your investment, raise your house now. It'll be worth more money when you go to sell it. Because as it stands right now, you're not going to sell it. Nobody's going to buy a house in a flood zone if it's not raised. So you're more likely to be able to get your house sold if it's already raised. So take advantage of the money that the government's got out there right now. Get your ducks in a row, fill out endless paperwork, and get some money and raise your house. Because they're not going to get this fixed overnight. It's not going to happen. But I do believe we need to quit fooling with stuff that we don't need and concentrate on a massive drainage project in this parish. The whole parish has to be. We got B1B. We got Borganza to the Gulf. Even if you pumping it out, if they close the gates down to buy it, it's not going nowhere. You want to share something, Clayton? You want to share something? No, but you're talking while I'm talking.
Ms. Berg, are you done?
I'm done, but if he wants to share something with us.
You cannot address council members.
Oh, I know.
If we're talking, yeah, I mean, let's just remain orderly, please. How about we do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I suggest y'all all get some excavators and get to work because there's a lot to be dug. No, when we start on Bayou Terrebonne. Good deal. Great. Thank you for your hard work because it's taken what, 4 years to get this done? To dredge a bayou. To dredge a bayou. That's ridiculous. So y'all got some work. Good night.
Mr. Badger, you good? No, you can go now if you want. All right, go ahead, bud.
So I want to first off by thanking the residents that have come out and the ones that we've heard from tonight and heard from before. We definitely take this seriously, and the goal is no water in homes at all. We are doing, like we do on every event, an after action report. We've collected data from the damage.la.gov when people reported that they had issues, damage, whether it be tornado or water, from others that we've been hearing from that hadn't been reporting, collecting all this information, mapping that stuff out, and working on an after action report for each individual area. A lot of great information tonight from the fact that we can use some canals and everything else, and having the conversation about how much water flows from the Fouche, and that we are having active conversations about getting water out of Bayou St. Louis, back into Bayou Terrebonne at many levels. And again, working through, the question about whether or not the pumps were used in the Shell property area. This year, those pumps were brought online and we were able to use those pumps in the Shell property area. So navigating what new challenges that brings to the table with those new pumps being brought online, the conversation that there is only two and there was supposed to be four, and what it means to build the berm amongst many, many other projects that we are currently working on and towards. We are definitely doing our due diligence to make sure that we keep water out of people's homes. This after action report is going to be something that we feel is definitely going to provide some insight, some projects that we got projects that are starting, like the dredge of Bayou Terrebonne. That money's been here since 2012. We have the K Street pump in Broadmoor is going to fix some issues. But again, we're talking about 30 inches of rain that we've had since May, and a storm that had 7 inches of rain within about 2 or 3 hours. And so we know the pumps can handle 1 inch the first hour, a half inch every other. But all that being said, we are doing our due diligence. Everything that's been reported to us that we're aware of, as people were talking tonight, I was making sure we have their addresses on our list to come back and really make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep water out of homes, that we keep everything clean. We have 27,000 catch basins. We have 20 people that work around the clock to get those cleaned. And every time we get one reported, we get it right out there and get it taken care of. And so, again, we're not taking this lightly. It has taken a little time since the tropical storm that comes through to collect this data and get everything. And as of today, I heard of a new area that got some water. So we're constantly updating our information and working on having a conversation around, again, what can be done, what can be done different, what can be done better. Other projects that we're already talking about, and we've had conversations with Corps of Engineers, we've had conversations with CPRA, and just discussing ideas about how we move water better. One of the first things I did when I took office was having a conversation with the levee district about the fact that we're in the business of managing moving water. And like somebody stated a while ago, if they don't open the gates, they become part of our drainage. And we got pumps that are working on being done there. We got new forced drainage areas. Again, we have millions and millions of dollars of pump stations that are being engineered, being built, that are finished. And again, this is a constant battle of us moving water as we continue to subside as a parish. And so just again, really thanking. We're going to do this after action. We're going to make sure that we're providing information so that people know what our plans are and know what we're doing. And if there's any questions at any time, I'm definitely here and available.
Okay, Miss Kim Chauvin?
So the number of parishes that drain onto us, it's more than just Lafouche, if I'm correct, because I just got some information. We're looking at 16 parishes that drain onto us. What can we do as a council, as a parish, to get more aid to be able to drain where our people are not flooding? What You know, I mean, look, I go into my area on the east side every hard rain, and I sit by Tara Street, Keith Street. I go by those places, Paris Lane. I can tell you every street that floods because when it's raining hard, I go there because I want to see what's going on. And remember how hard to fight for them to get that pump station, that industrial street, you know, industrial pump station. But anyway, what can we do better? You know, as a council,
Right.
as a parish, I mean, help me to help them. What is it that I need to do to get out there and try and get more aid for the people that are experiencing this?
So, when you talk about the 16 parishes, we are part of Region 6 of the Louisiana Watershed Initiative. The Watershed Initiative finished some modeling that it relates to how that water flows down. And with that modeling, working on getting that information to FEMA, getting that information to us, working with organizations like Balance Media and Nichols to really crunch the numbers and understand how much water is flowing through from, we had a conversation with Fouche Parish when we got here, and it's like, when are you pumping? They go every time it rains, right? And so that coordination, we're looking at a CEA right now with North Lafourche Levee District, Thibodaux, Lafourche. I might be missing a party here, but it's about what we do to work together to maintain Bayou St. Louis, right? And we've had many conversations about getting water out of Bayou St. Louis, back into Bayou Terrebonne. And I think there's going to be some opportunities there, along with the fact we've talked about some retention ponds with you.
Right.
We've talked about some retention ponds along Bayou St. Louis. The big retention pond, which is the Shell property, which we're working with HBGP to get funding to build the berm that goes around, that we'll better pump more into that. But as a whole, again, we're working with the other entities and everybody and having a conversation about, moving water. When we look at Tropical Storm Arthur, we got our 7 inches of rain after Lafourche got its 7 inches of rain. So at the end of the day, Lafourche drains to us. We get
had
7
7.
inches of rain. It was a horrible worst case scenario that we hope that we would never deal with again. I've done the research to look at the last 12 major rain events dating back to 2013. How much rain fell? What's the rainfall rates? And we're going down to that level of understanding. And again, working with permit heights and what has to be done to be adjusted with that. And working with the Corps of Engineers, working with CPRA. Gordy and I went around after the event and looked at maybe we put a flap gate here. Maybe we had a pump there. We're talking about adding a pump in Summerfield, right? Like additional pump that allows to pull some water out. And so, it's definitely imperative that we gather this information. And look, at the same time, we got in 2024, and one of the things that was voted on was a stormwater study with the CDBGR funding. All this stuff that's happened and everything that's been going on is we're having active conversations on adding that data into this process, which includes the 11A, the 11B, Chicahoola, and what it's going to mean for some possible forced drainage areas, like in Steve's area, we were talking about putting those MARTA gates and making it where that pumps out at Montague. So, again, it's a battle that we deal with amongst all the parishes, and that we are definitely working real hard to make sure that we come up with some solutions. And, just like we spent $1.2 billion on our levee system, and we're kind of halfway there, we could arguably have the same conversation about what needs to be done for the water that gets put into our area inside of the 11A, 11B, and the other systems. And again, just getting everybody at the table and making sure that we're having conversations that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and that, again, if somebody says, hey, we need to look at adding this or moving that water over there, the gentleman that talked about all the canals, we're gonna talk to that guy, because I do believe it's important to get the feedback from the areas and understand that says, again, there was a bunch of water when we talk about the Acadiana Woods subdivision, right? Devil Swamp is a bowl. And so you're trying to drain a bowl of Devil Swamp through a straw in Bayou St. Louis, and it's a ridge. And so, beside the fact that we're working with those groups north of us just to let's figure out a better way to maintain it, but also looking at ideas that says, well, maybe we just need to get some water out of Bayou St. Louis, because all that water does run and end up behind Broadmoor. And at the end of the day, when you have some of those areas that are just culverts and that canal is full, the water's got nowhere to go. So again, we're looking at, 2, 3, maybe 4 retention ponds that we could put along Bayou St. Louis to get that water out. And I apologize, I'm looking at Kim since you asked the question, but again, at the end of the day, we got information from people. We want to understand where water was and some of the pictures of where water was that people didn't get it in their homes, where it was close. That's all data that we're putting together. We're going to make sure that we come out of this with some plans and some action items.
I'll tell you that this is one of the reasons why I am really gonna be careful about voting like, subdivisions and different things, because I look at this and the more we add here, the more problems we seem to have in adding more to it. Growth responsibly is good, but growth just to grow is not. So I would say that we need to be more careful on that part of it. And I will tell you, I have two excavators, Ms. Connie. I have already told them that I would get on it and do it myself, but the Corps of Engineers is not going to allow me to do that. So, but thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Mr. Clayton Wazan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Uh, So what have y'all discovered, Jason, as far as things from a manpower standpoint, things we control as a government that we could have done better, uh, either prior or during this event? Have y'all discovered any things that we could have done better?
I mean, we're definitely going through that still. I'm hoping to have all that finished next week, and again, getting to the level of working with each district and having those conversations. And again, we had the K Street pump was one of the projects that we have started on, that I'm not mistaken is hopefully about a month or so out from being completed, that I think makes a difference. But at the end of the day, if Bayou St. Louis is full of water, and especially if we're getting all that water coming from the Fouche like it is, again, our goal is to hopefully get some of that water out sooner rather than later. When I can tell you that we have areas that residents report to us that we know we have to go check out prior to events, and like I talked about, 27,000 drains throughout the parish, 20 people that deal with that full time every day. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if y'all call one of our people, they go get out there and clear the area, right? I mean, I hadn't heard of any issues where they don't respond. And look, when you look at vegetation, you look at the problems that we've had even in your district with some servitudes, right? And not being able to get to some areas. We've had some areas that are spray only that we're having to fecon, right? Take it down to the mud. We're having some areas that are spray only that we're having to cut and then come back to spray. And, the spray budget right there alone is only $160,000. We upped the vegetation budget in our first in the 2025 budget. I think we upped that by $800,000, and really getting to the point that we're in our second cycle right now, getting ready to go into our third cycle. And after the end of last year, I asked everybody, if you see tall grass anywhere, let us know, because we actually found some situations where some assets wasn't even on the list, or maybe somebody checked it off that was done by our contractors and it wasn't. And so as you're looking through that, we're working through our second cycle right now of vegetation and just moved from the north to the south. We're curious if anybody sees any tall grass. And there are some areas that people have reported to us that are spray only, that we're having to come back and say, well, maybe every 3 years or 5 years, we got to go out and dig it, right? And so we're definitely not afraid to do that. We had a situation, maybe was reported to somebody, it didn't get to the group to create a work order. But I do know that once we know about it, that we get on it. But as we come through all that, I know we're in conversation. We put together a plan. Put together a job description to hire a drainage engineer. So we're looking at what we got to do to make sure. And the best thing I'll tell everybody is, if you see something that doesn't look right or you see water happening, we've been collecting pictures. We did a lot of inspections after the fact of knowing, who had water, who didn't have water. But I would just hope that you get us all the information so we can make sure we do what we got to do, and at the same time get it to the people that are working on our stormwater plan, which is slated to be completed at the end of the year, which I'm hoping really gives us all information so that we can all make some informed decisions on this. Because, you're looking right now, we could probably look at spending at a minimum, $50 to $100 million on canals, drainage, pumps, all those different deals, of which some of that's funded, some of that's getting funded. And again, we got projects that are about to kick off, have kicked off, and every time we do one of these projects, though, there is going to be a potential consequence where we didn't have this issue here before. Now we're issuing with that area now. What has to be adjusted, and we're hoping that you guys can give us, you guys, the residents, we want as much information as we get our hands on to understand who all was affected. The more we know, I feel like the more we have an opportunity to resolve.
So the answer's no?
Still working on it.
Okay, so no human error has been detected as of today. That's your answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Chackahoola Basin, what should that be pumped down to when we in hurricane season?
We are pumping the permit on Chackahoola Basin, and we are working with the Corps of Engineers to make sure that permit doesn't have to be adjusted.
And what is that level?
At the Greenwood gauge, if I'm not mistaken, it is 1.5, but I'd have to double check that.
And what is it on Bull Run at Lafourche Terrebonne?
We do not have a permit that references that gauge. So when you're working with the Corps of Engineers, we have permits for both Hanson and the Ella Jones, and those permits reference gauges at those levels or at the Greenwood.
There is a sill level for, I mean, you can chat GPT it, they'll give it to you.
In the permit?
Well, there is a sill level for,
I'm going off of the core permit that specifically references gauges and what those gauges should be at. It also references that whenever you get this footage, you turn on this pump. When you get this footage, turn on this pump. And again, we've been in
So y'all
conversations
never
with the Corps
read
of
that
Engineers.
level on Bull Run?
We do look at that level,
That level's
yes.
never read, so what was that level?
I'd have to go back and look it up.
Okay.
So
It was about 3.3 foot.
is that the
3
one that we looked
inches.
at today, that over the last 4 or 5 years?
Prior
had
to
that
the
same
storm.
level?
Prior to the weather.
No. And I looked at that over the last 5 years, and it all was about that level the whole time.
And,
The Greenwood? So the other one was about a half. Oh, that was a half foot, that one, yeah. But again, when you look at the core permit doesn't reference that gauge. So if the core permit doesn't reference that gauge, I have to work the Corps of Engineers, because if we don't work with the Corps of Engineers and there is damage, they're not gonna spend a dollar in fixing any problem with that. Now, if the council up here wants to vote to work below the core recommended permits, please make that vote and we'll move forward with that.
yeah, that is a core level at that gauge, and that's the gauge that should be used, to determine the level.
Which gauge should be used, sir?
On Bull Run Road.
On Bull Run Road, even though it's not in the permit?
Yeah, it is. And that
It is in the permit.
That should be used, to determine that level and maintain that level, that sill.
What level should that be?
1.5.
Are you factoring in the AVD data that subtracts 2.8?
I'm factoring in a whole bunch of common sense to protect people from flooding.
Sir, we're dealing with
And that's what
gauges.
we do as a council, and we should do as a parish, is care more about the protection of the people and their properties, above and beyond anything else. Like earlier, one of the constituents asked, what is the price tag for the security of the people? What is it? Put a number on it, because obviously projects that were already in place, ready to go when we all, well, not all of us, but us new councilmen and this new administration took office, they ready to go. You just had to throw a little money at them.
Can you elaborate on how much money, sir?
For
In which
example,
project?
2 pumps and a generator at the Shell property would be approximately $2.5 million, which is kind of ironic because, hell, we just spent that on computer software, which was promised in infrastructure. So that's one.
Can I address each one if you don't
10
mind?
million on the berm would probably get that done. And that's a price tag.
Okay, so
It's a little pricey. But thank God we own the dirt to do it. We own the dirt. The property was purchased for that property with residual dirt, more than what it was going to take to build that levee. So that's just one example. And then obviously the pump down of Lake Homas is a very important pump down as well. All I can go by with that one is what I see, right? Prior to the event at the Bayou at Hollywood Road, and then the empty lots that run along Old Diney, when you see that water come from the lake and it's in that field next to the old recycling plant by the roundabout, that kind of tells me it's not pumped down. Just common sense, because there's no gauge and there's no telemetry that I can see uh, for that. So, and then the other side of that is most people that's lived in Louisiana, particularly Terrebonne Parish, if you lived here for decades, especially, you've been through many, many, many rain events in this parish. Uh, was it a lot of rain? Yeah. But I don't think it was super unique to other events where Broadmoor, Bayou Cane, uh, Oakshire, these areas uh, suffered anywhere from 80 to 100 homes that got infiltrated with water. Uh, very odd, very odd. So most people that's familiar with the area and of course rain events in this area understand that something else had to go wrong. Now, it could be obstructions, it could be whatever. Uh, I don't know the 100% answer to that question, but obviously the systems for that district were not running at 100% or something wasn't at 100% to cause this to occur. So I would encourage y'all to search for any human errors that we could have controlled so that we can control that in the future. Now, if you want to respond, go ahead.
So we'll start with the $2.5 million for the two pumps and the generator. That project was started before I got here. I don't know why they only did two pumps, but when we discovered that we needed two more pumps and the generator, I actually worked with CPRA. They are working on getting us some funding for those two pumps and that generator, so definitely will allow for the opportunity. The berm is actually HMGP money and CDBGDR. It's around $9 million. And right now, we're waiting on HMGP. We've actually had conversations with the federal delegation, the governor, and GOSEP to understand what we can do to get that HMGP money down here, because the CDBG money alone is not enough for the berm. So with that project, as soon as we get confirmation, if anybody wants to call the federal delegation or call FEMA, we're waiting on them to give us the authorization to start that project and get that project done. When it comes to pump down to Lake Homas, I know that's something I'd looked at as far as some gauges and heights and everything like that. My understanding is it does have SCADA on it and it does have pump heights. I could have to rely on David and or Noah to have that conversation about the fact that we don't have any gauge on Hollywood. As I understand, that is not correct. So again, at the end of the day,
Well, there is a white stick, but I don't know how to read
Right,
that
right.
stick.
well, I'm not talking about stick. I'm talking about the fact that we got I think it's 70 or 80 pump stations, and of those, 54 have SCADA. We're trying to add 4 or 5 a year. That average somewhere between $25,000 and $75,000 a year to add SCADA to each
Yeah,
pump
but I
system.
can't
So
access that.
I hear you. You know, and look,
That's all I was saying.
and so I just, again, I really, I tell you what, as I think right here and talk, I got a group of people sitting over my left shoulder that has been busting their butts hour after hour, day after day. We had a little incident with a pump on Equity Boulevard, and we had 7 guys out there at 10 o'clock at night. And so I just want to take this opportunity to commend our team that's over my shoulder. We got David, Scotty, Hook, Kirk, and many other. At Public Works Department's 300 people. I mentioned the 20 that deal with the drainage every day. And so I'm not saying that there's not going to be user error and that we're not going to have issues related to user error. When you deal with 1,000 employees, that definitely has the opportunity to happen. But I just want to make sure that our employees don't feel like somebody's saying that they didn't do their jobs when they work very hard whenever it's raining, when it's lightning. I was on Evelyn, I think, when the second tornado came through, coming over Evelyn Avenue, and just to see the devastation that everybody has went through. And we look at 30 inches of rain since May, and looking at what Avoyles Parish went through. We didn't have anybody injured. We didn't have anybody killed. And I really feel like that we unfortunately, I feel like we have to say we're blessed and that it definitely could have been a lot worse. And I hate for anybody that's has their home affected. Me living on the east side, I used to have to deal with that when I lived on Brook, of the potential of flooding and having to get up every hour and check the ditches. And, we definitely don't want anybody to go through that. But I just think it's important for them and our first responders, because our firefighters are rescuing people out of their homes that had the roofs blown off, and our police department was out there working hard. And of course, everybody, the sheriff's office, all the fire departments across this parish are doing such a great job and working their tails off and doing everything they can to make sure that not one home in Terrebonne Parish gets water.
Yeah. I'm definitely never going to disparage any of the hard work of the staff and Public Works and the people that work there. They do an awesome job, obviously at your direction, right? Uh, they do what they're told to do when they told to do it. They do an awesome job, awesome. Uh, and I'm sure many times their directions that they're given, uh, they might do things differently. Relying on experts, kind of like you was talking about with the computers, would probably serve this parish really well if you would choose to do that. So yeah, you're never gonna hear me disparage any of these men whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I'm one of many up here that's the last 2 years fought to get them raises across the board and was denied. I don't know how that statement could even come out your mouth, but I want to be clear. Uh, they work at your direction. You pretty much dictate when they can do what and how they do it. Uh, that's not even a secret. Pretty much everybody knows this. Uh, so when that occurs, any responsibility or issues that could have been controlled, potentially, that's not on your people. That's not on your people. And I'll leave that there.
So I'd like to respond to a little bit of that. And look, I'll leave the room. I don't want anybody to feel that they have to say anything. The thing that I've definitely worked my butt off at this parish is to make sure we have a servant leadership environment. There's no dictator here. I'm not telling people what to do, whether they have to do it or not. If they don't do it, they get yelled at or fired. That's happened in the past. But I could just say, I got Mr. David Rome right here. Mr. Rome, have I ever told you to do anything against what you wanted to do, sir? Because I really think that needs to be answered right now.
I do believe that no. The answer is no, and I do believe that I've always had the opportunity to speak my mind if I had, and we have had disagreements. That I have had the ability to speak my mind in disagreement if I had that. But no, you have never told me to do anything that I felt was not in line with what's best for the parish.
Thank you, sir.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
Hold on.
that's fine. I'm done.
Mr. Steve Trosclair?
Yes, thank you. I got a couple of things. First thing, I want to elaborate on the quality of employees that we have. I've been looking at these same faces for 13 years now, and they've been the same people for 13 years, busting their butts, doing basically impossible. So once again, we appreciate everything you guys do, from here anyway. Um, Jason, you made a statement earlier that you went back to, I think it's 2013, checking rain events. Was that the correct year? I might have missed a year. But where does this rain event rank in the events? Was this the worst? Not, in the middle? Uh,
So, I've heard these conversations of this 12-inch rain that we've had. And so when you look at the amount of rain that fell and the rain per hour getting up to 5 to 6 inches an hour, when you look at Hurricane Ida, it had 10 to 14 inches of rain. I'm sorry, that's Olga, had 10 to 14 rain. Cristobal had 12 inches of rain over 3 days. So looking at Because again, I want to understand, is this an anomaly? Is this something that's happened before? Is this something related to a tropical event? Is it a rather regular rain event? And so when you look at the combination of the fact that Lafouche got, with the way that the storm passed, Lafouche got rain before we did. They got about 7 inches in rain. I think even on Martin, when we went on there, some areas showed 8 and 9. And then we got 7 inches of rain. We've never had a entity of a storm sit over that area. In all the previous storms, a band comes through, the band goes away, everything starts to drain. And so when you look at the amount of water that we had at the rate it fell, it is one of the worst events that I've been able to track. And if anybody has more information, I'd love to share. I'd love to have a conversation on it. We've reached out to National Weather Service, worked our EOC. Again, we're working to gather information to make sure that we have all the data we need, that in this particular event, it fell different or didn't fall different, because all we're committed to doing is making sure that we don't have a similar issue like this the next time.
Right. And no, I'm not saying I got any information. I'm
And I'm
asking
just-
you.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to compare something to compare it to. I know we had a lot of rain, but I also know, that I have, and I may have missed it, but I don't think I've ever seen where 80 to 100 houses flooded in the areas that actually flooded for a rain event. We've had storm events where people flood, a lot more people flooded, but I haven't ever seen, since I'm on the council, haven't heard of any. In fact, actually on this event, it's only the last week or so that I actually talked to Clayton, realized we had this many people flooded. Because for some reason, that information didn't make it out big, like you would think it would,
Can I address that?
Certainly.
So I'm aware of 54 properties. If there are more, we have heard that some people are hesitant to report because they're worried about their flood insurance. We're not collecting data to report anybody. We're collecting data to make decisions. So if there are 80 to 100 homes flooded, I'd love to look and see who's not on this list. Again, we've been mapping it out and working that after action report around the fact that this street flooded, this street flooded, and it's not full streets. It's a front of the street here, back of the street there. So if there are more homes that flooded, or if at least at a minimum we can get the streets that they had some flooded homes on, we want that information.
And I'm good with that. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I got my information from Clayton.
Yeah.
He went out and talked to the people. I didn't know, nobody in my district flooded. So, I didn't have that event.
And I said 54, 58, I'm sorry.
But, so basically you told me that this is the worst rain event. If I understanding what you're saying, this is basically worst rain event for the time frame, the amount of water that fell that you could find.
Based on the information I've been able to find, yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, I gotta go. I'm okay with that. Mr. LaBeouf was up and the Chackahoola Basin's been brought up here by a couple of people. Mr. LaBeouf was the first one to mention Chackahoola Basin. That's a big area, big retention pond. I've been told, I'm not an engineer and I've never tried to figure it out, but I've been told by several people that the Chackahoola Basin takes approximately 2 weeks to pump it down 1 foot if you're gonna try to pump the basin down. So I'm looking at a graph, a Corps engineer's graph at a flood gauge at the Terrebonne Lafouche Canal, that flood level is 3.2 foot, been that way. You mentioned a while ago, it's been that way for years. But if it takes 2 weeks to pump it down a foot, if we bring that to the 1.5, like I said, I haven't seen the core permit, but you said our core permit at the other floodgate 1.5. I couldn't understand why that would be any different. It may be, but if it's not, we ought to maintain that Chackahoola base, especially during the rainy season and the hurricane seasons. Keep that down to at least 1.5, and then at that point, you've got on this event, we went from a 3.2 to 3.6 like in a few hours. And that's your 7 inches of rain or 8 inches of rain that we had, plus the flow, okay? But if we keep it down, pump down, well, then you got probably days, a couple days of major event that you can absorb a lot of water without endangering and flooding people's houses just in that one area. Like I said, I'm no hydrologist, but that's, a little bit of I do have a little bit of common sense. I don't have no technology. I'm technology challenged, but I do got a little bit of common sense. So that's just kind of my thought process on Chacahula Basin. And I'm looking at the Corps Engineers flood gauge and their chart, their graph. And like you said, it's been 3.2 forever.
More than one. Okay, you got Greenwood.
Hey, give me a light.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that. I just want to clarify, there's more than one core gauge on that site.
This
That's the Terrebonne
The Terrebonne
Lafourche drainage
Lafourche
one?
Canal.
Yeah, 3 to 3.5.
Yeah.
You got Greenwood, and then you got one that's called Gibson. They're all in the Chacahula Basin.
But that all drains, yeah, and that all drains into our pumping stations.
I would like to touch on that too, if you don't mind. So that particular one you're referencing, that's that feeder canal that the gentleman was talking about, that Layton pump station in Thibodeau, and all those pump stations pump into.
Exactly.
It stays hot. That water moves. If you ever go look at that canal, I do that all the time. It's like a river. It constantly moves. Every time they get a rain, they're going to pump down it, and we got to deal with that water.
I understand that, but we got to be proactive and not reactive. We can't wait till it's raining to
We
put
don't.
our pumps on.
We don't.
Okay, but if we maintain it what I'm trying to get at, if we maintain it 3, we got to pump Lafourche's water out regardless.
Right.
So if we pumping it out as it comes in, or wait till it's full and try to pump it out.
I just want to clarify one more thing. It's been said already, but the pump permit from the Corps references the Greenwood gauge for 1.5, not the Lafourche Terrebonne drainage canal. That's clear. It's black and white on there.
I'm understanding that. And my question, my point is, maybe that's where we need to be looking.
Look,
I'm not saying we did anything wrong. That's where we need to be looking.
I think that it definitely deserves a conversation and looking at these permits on a regular basis every few years to see what's right and what needs to be adjusted. And that's what we're talking about doing.
Right, we're bringing the core down. We're already lining up meetings to get them down because if we need to lower the permit heights, we're going to lower the permit heights. And again, looking at it over the fact that the gauge on the Terrebonne Lafourche Canal is not mentioned in any permits. To me, that and the one in Gibson all ought to be part of a conversation, even if we need to add a 4th spot that gives you that median level of the whole basin, right? And so, again, we're committed to make sure that we get what we need done. We had a problem at Hanson Canal. I think we spent $800,000 on bank stabilization because we were pumping so hard, we were pulling the banks in. And so we're definitely trying to work on that balance of,
And that's where I was heading into.
yeah.
When you're pumping with the massive pumping stations that we have, okay, that water's coming in through a canal, a ditch, canal, bayou, whatever you want to call it. Okay, most of our pumping stations can bleed that thing down in no time at all. I mean, they just you funneling water in, so you're gonna bring your level down at your pump station, But you have to keep running the pumps until everything equalizes.
So something else I'll add real quick. When you talk about the Terrebonne Lafourche Bayou Canal, right? So at one point, the Corps had an NGV D29 level. Then they come back and updated all their data, and that converted to an NAV D88. When you go to the rivergauges.com page, before you click on the thing that gives you the chart, it's going to say add a negative 2.18 to adjust from NGV D29 to NAV D88. So that 3.5 is actually minus 2.818. But again, if the Corps Engineers permit references Greenwood, that gauge, as far as what we're required to do by law with the Corps of Engineers, is not even mentioned. And that's why we want to get them down here and we say, we got these 3 gauges. Are those good enough? Can we add another one that puts it as, if this is 4, this is 1.5? Because when you look at the permit, it talks about the sump, right? And so
one permit talks about the sump, the other one talks about the Greenwood gauge. We definitely want to make sure that all that is copacetic and that, you know, we're working together to make sure that system gets pumped down as much as it needs to get pumped down every time. And again, we pre-pumped, was it, I don't know, yesterday or today, Greenwood's at 0.74. So it's below the 1.5 that, you know, we're doing. And when you look at the fact that it takes 2 weeks, in an emergency situation, we do a pump down, but we got 2 or 3 days notice on this storm that wasn't supposed to rain like it did in this area. And so, again, going back to making sure, and look, whoever wants to be in that conversation or be in the room with us and the Corps of Engineers, to make sure that we do what's best for the parish. That's what's important to us, you know, and that's, we're relying on working with them. We're relying on working with CPRA. We're relying on these guys right here, the residents and you guys, to take all that data as a collective and make sure we're just doing what's best for our residents.
Okay, and I'm just gonna hit on this just a little. The berm or levee or whatever around the Shell property.
Cold burn.
Berm. Yeah, we don't
Can't be
levee.
levy.
Okay, I agree. You know, President Dove, and during his administration, he bought the property. We have the dirt. We had the dirt. So my question is, you know, I know one machine and one operator can't build it, but we could get started and we can start doing something. Why can't we do some of that in-house?
Yeah, so that project definitely includes some water control structures. I know part of that was also getting approval from CDBGDR, right? So we had to wait on that. We're still waiting on HMGP approval, and then some of these projects, and Candace could correct me if I'm wrong, we do an ounce of work, we throw out any opportunity to get additional funding. And so, again, we're not holding back on building a berm because we wanna, we're doing some things that, again, I've reached out to the governor as of last
My
week because he had
question-
talked to me at the Billion Barrels celebration, and he asked us, "Is FEMA giving you what you need to Mitch and I?" And we said, "We're close, and if we don't get something soon, we're gonna reach out to you."
But my
And sure enough,
question,
we
I
did.
guess I should have addressed my question a little different worded. If we started this project in-house, you would do building levees with our own people, would that jeopardize us getting any of the monies?
Could, unfortunately.
Okay, that answers my question.
Trust me, I'd have started.
All right, thank you, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Troskler. Mr. Hamner, you're on.
Am I on? You know, I'm a pass because I just saw it's turning 9 o'clock, and I just wanted to throw out some thank yous to Mr. Rome and Scotty Dryden and the rest of Drainage Public Works Department that's here. But I'm gonna make some personal phone calls to y'all. The next agenda item I saw is Mr. Pledger's, so I know that's gonna be a long-winded one, so I'm gonna pass on my comments.
Mr. Champagne?
Yeah, I'm gonna be real quick too. I want to thank the drainage department too, because I call frequently because people complain about different catch basins being full or ditches being full, and they always get on it as soon as I make the report. But I do have, I guess, I don't know what we can do about, I do get complaints a lot about a neighbor throwing their cuttings and clippings into the streets, blocking the drains. Is there anything we could do, like a public announcement or maybe an ordinance? I don't know, but I get that frequently from people in neighborhoods about clippings into the drainage system. And then I guess I'd like to ask from David and them, what, is this a frequent problem, not just my department, my district, but across the board, which creates more problems and causes your staff to go have to do stuff that we probably could do without? So
Yes, sir. I think that is one of the biggest issues that we run into, and Mr. Bajron and Mr. Lee are working on us doing a kind of an educational videos to show what that actually does. Because out of sight, out of mind was the mentality for the longest time, but when we put it in there, what it does not only to immediately in front of them, down the line to their neighbors and so on. So yes, that is a very, very big problem around here.
And I'll throw out too, I thought we'd had a conversation about whether or not throwing grass clippings in the street was against the law. We had an ordinance. My understanding is that we don't, but I could be wrong if anybody wants to correct me. But I don't think it's illegal for people to put grass in the street, just to let you know. I bought a vacuum, by the way. I vacuum my grass up at the street, just to let y'all know. Yes, I do.
Thank you, Mr. Champagne. Mr. Hardy?
Yeah, I understand the watershed process. I've been here a couple of years, and I find that they give more funding to the people that are above us than what they do to us. We mentioned
Apply to that real quick.
uh,
So that actually has been that conversation, and they are talking about making Region 6 more available for that stuff. That's why when we get the stormwater study done, that's gonna give us here's the list of things you ought to get done. And number 1 is 3 million, number 5 is 4 million. So I just want to add that actually has been an active conversation.
right, because they were getting more money than what we're doing, and they're actually dumping on us. And I realized that a few years back.
They should give us their money.
The point there when we're saying that LaFouche pumps to us, have we ever gotten together and let's say simultaneously, tandemly get rid of the flow of water? So can we work as a unit to make ourselves more effective?
So I could. Look, we're having those conversations early on. It was LaFouche, when do you pump? And they go every time it rains. And so, we definitely know we're fighting this battle as a group. That's where we look at the solutions like balanced media that can maybe tell us ahead of time it's going to fall here, it's going to flow there, and trying to get them some funding to help them do that. We've had meetings. It's interesting because Gina Campo at OCD, the watershed stuff actually falls under her, and they've been talking about a centralized water management system and some of the things that we're doing balanced media along with some of the things that we're doing in house. We're actually sharing data and saying like this is what we look at, because when you look at the fact again, if you want to manage AI this or take data and says, it's raining here, it's flowing there. If we don't have Lafouche's data and above Lafouche, an assumption, if we don't have our data, the fact that we have half our pumps on SCADA, right? So everything else is manual, and we don't have the data tied in from the levee district to know what's open, what's closed, and what's flowing. I think that's the big, tremendous first step in making sure that we do have a cohesive conversation and work together on that. At the end of the day, Lafouche has got a pump. I joked around about putting a dam, and they said that they cut off our drinking water, so that's apparently off the table to stop the water from coming from Lafouche. But no, we got the CEA we're working on, North Lafouche Levee District, Lafouche Parish, Terrebonne Parish, and
Mary?
yeah, and Thibodeau City of Thibodeau. And I feel like that's the first shot into, okay, this is this canal we're working on. What are the other operations conversations? The other positive opportunity with CPRA is the ability to have that stuff with multi-parish projects. For example, Landbridge is going to be one of those, but also at the same time, anything from marsh correction and or drainage, CPRA has been able to come in and really bridge the gap on this is what's happened in Lafouche, this is what's happened in Terrebonne, and at the same time working with Louisiana Watershed Initiative about what's flowing. And so, we get a storm coming the wrong direction, we're dealing with surge and we're dealing with rain, and it's meeting in the middle in Terrebonne Parish. And so, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, and just making a statement, and everybody appreciate everyone because we live here, and I'm agreeing with this gentleman because recently when they had the water problems that we were talking about what the Corps of Engineers had as to what is the recommended height that we actually have. I think that might be a consideration to actually help out the situation. I don't think these gentlemen were asking just to be detrimental to the administration. I think they're just trying to find answers, not just for their districts, but then for Terrebonne Parish. The gentleman back there with the hat on, he owns some property in the areas, and I've spoke with you guys in reference to the lateral ditches. We were talking about the lateral ditches, so we have to look at the lateral ditches, and we own some ditches, and then some of the private sector owns some of those ditches. And another thing that I've found going forward is that in some of my rural areas, the property owners are actually making adjustments to their property and disrupting the natural flow that we actually already have in place. The other factor, so far as in the cities that we're actually having, is older sections such as Mr. Wazan's section, where we have in the particular area. Let's say, for instance, I'm not getting in his business, but then I I come out of drainage, which is with DOTD, and some of the problems that we were having was the fact that we were having debris growing within our culverts, which actually holds up the water because trash goes in there too. So we had to wait till all of that subside. So I had a situation within my district at the corner of Scott Lane, Prince Collins and Park. And Mr. Rome's crew sent a camera in, and we found that we were having limbs grow in there. I know it's going to be rather costly. People don't like to pay for it, but I think that's the part of the problem that we're actually having within the inner city. We spend $1 billion on pumps and levees, but in our inside the levee system, we have to be able to get those retention ponds and create a constant flow of water where we give ourselves an opportunity to have free flow of water. So it's going to be a joint effort between Lafourche Parish Administration, CPRA, the citizens of Terrebonne Parish, and putting more funding in some of the things that we actually have to do.
So I'd love, we've had conversations about the lateral ditches many times, and, going back, I think it was 2012, correct me if I'm wrong, that it was, trying to build a levee, couldn't get property rights. At some point, that got adjusted to where they ended up doing Hanson, and that was supposed to be the end-all be-all, right? Hanson was, now that we've done Hanson, maybe we don't need this anymore. But in a situation where people are getting stuff from their yards, again, if we could get those property rights, we have the opportunity to put a levee there, and then at that point, start dealing with laterals. And again, and at whatever point we can make that happen, we're definitely interested in doing it. And look, I'd be remiss to say, I've had a few phone calls from Gordy. He still cares so much about this parish, and it's so important to him that we're doing everything we can to pump. We went out there on Val High and was looking at some pump stations and pointing at things and talking about opportunities and where we can maybe do some things. And so he's been a wealth of knowledge, and I just want to publicly thank him for keeping his passion and making phone calls to our team and to me to help make sure that we have all the knowledge we need and all the funding that we need, because he's definitely helping us out with some projects related specifically to pumping and drainage and everything else. And so I just want to publicly thank him.
Well, and the other thing, I'm going to be done with it because, like Mr. Hamler said, we got one more item that we want to address also. And like I said, I'm looking at a private owner. I'm like at the possibility he's owned some property, but in my abilities and my knowledge in pumping, if we have water that's way back in a particular area and we're cleaning out our lateral ditches and we actually helping and assisting private sector with their lateral ditches, we need to put pumps to actually in those areas and create an agreement with those people to help push the flow of water, because sometimes when we get to a point, and we have gotten to a point where we can't put people out there looking at all the lateral ditches and they're collapsing and they're having so much debris that's coming over here in a couple of years. So I guess we can use drone technology or whatever, and some of those gate valves that we were supposed to be repairing in my area that we were talking about, that goes into Bayou Black. And of course, like they were saying, those pumps that we have in Hanson and Elliott Jones, they do draw a lot of water. But I agree with the gentleman back there also, is the fact that we can put other pumps. And we could have. I'm not putting the finger on anyone else, but then that's only one area that we actually looking at. But then we are creating problems. Each time we build another subdivision, we're creating more of an opportunity for us not to have the land be saturated with water, and we have these concrete jungles, and we can't have the flow of water. Thank you.
Mr. Amity, I'm sorry.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Fletcher.
Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Neal. I'm sorry, Johnny. She had a
He's
light
trying to
there.
skip me, Mr.
I'm
Almond.
sorry.
So Mr. Champagne asked if it was illegal to throw things into drainage ditches and drainage arteries. It is in fact illegal. We have a provision in our code of ordinances that makes it a misdemeanor to throw or dispose of any trash, refuse, rubbish, garbage, concrete, debris, or any other matter in any drainage ditch, a channel, canal, or any other drainage artery, including any subsurface drainage. So if you see someone throwing things into our drainage, make sure you call HPD, the sheriff, tell them, I know that there's a law on that because Miss Neal told me about that in the council meeting.
There you go. Thank you, Ms. Neal. Mr. Armady, I'm sorry.
That's good to know. Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I too want to thank Public Works for what they do. When I call, they jump right on things. But I also want to thank Chris Pulaski, Mort Black, and especially Miss Jennifer Gerbasi. Jennifer puts out an email that most of us probably just look right over, but I tend to read them. It's called Flood Safe Minute, and it has useful information that you can pass out to your constituents, especially after events like this. Now, for my question, you know, I talk to a lot of people, and I hear the same thing of how things have never flooded before. Do we have numbers on subsidence in the parish? Because I've heard some sporadic from surveyors, as much as 18 inches in some areas over the last 20 years. And I'm just wondering if we have any of that recorded.
Not off the top of my head. I'd love to know if there's an official report or study done on that. We definitely know what's happening. You can see that as you go
I
further down the
think we
bayou.
could probably request that information from well, not even just the surveyors, NOAA should have some information on that because they do all the monuments for the surveyors throughout parishes. Because I think that might help explain and that might help for future planning if we know that we're subsiding in an area, you know, an inch every year or a couple inches every 5 years, then it could certainly help us in future planning. Mr. Rome?
Mr. Amity, just to kind of clarify, I do believe that we do have a little bit of data, but not enough comprehensive to show anything. My 14 years here with the parish, I've done a lot of survey work, and just over the 14 years, I can tell where, you know, certain areas had subsided. And the one that comes to mind most is on the intersection of Southern Avenue and 6th Street. There's a manhole there. And when I first started here, I worked for pollution control, and we took elevation shots there. And over the last 14 years, we continued to, and that manhole itself has dropped almost 3.5 inches.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. I'm curious because that's something to look at when you're going to look at future planning is what we're dealing with. Not with just the water that's being pumped on us, but also subsidence, because when you're replacing that space with air that used to be ground, water will fill it quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amady. Ms. Babin?
Yeah, you know, Steve said earlier he didn't have any drainage, I mean, any flooding in his district, and Kim had it in the northern part of hers. The bayou communities didn't have flooding, but I did have flooding on Leeret Street on By Black. And the reason for it is what we all talked about here and what Ms. Neal just alluded to. What happened there, 25 feet of vinyl swimming pool was sucked into the pump, plus a pool ladder. So it's the people in that particular subdivision are the ones that caused the flooding in the back of that subdivision. How do we handle that? Mr. Rome is working on that right now to put another screen further up to try and avoid that in the future. I mean, people have to be responsible for their actions as well. The government tries to do everything we can. Every time, and Mr. Amity's point is well taken. Subsidence is a big problem that we have in South Louisiana, and especially Terrebonne Parish. But every time we build a pump to pump out one area, we pumping it to another area. All right. So then we have to put a pump there to further pump it to another area. We keep, I hate to say we circulating water, but in some cases we seem to be circulating water. This is not a situation that was created with this storm. I've been on this council for 11 and a half years, but actually 15 and a half years since I first started. This has been a problem then. This is a problem when Teddy Dewey was a parish president, that we had flooding problems. And it just keeps getting exacerbated all the time. That when you take in sea level rise, subsidence in the area, subdivisions being built, uh, lateral canals not being cleaned, or we live in a subtropical area, it's going to grow. So there's no one particular thing that can fix all of this. It's not going to happen. We can fix one area temporarily, and then it's going to create a problem in another area. How do we answer that? I have no earthly idea. We could probably use 20 more pumps in Terrebonne Parish. That's probably 150 to 200 million dollars. Where do we find that? You know, so again, we can continue. It sounds like that y'all have a pretty good handle on it of where we have been, what happened. The only way you can know how to correct something is to find out what failed. Okay, and if something did fail, I think we're trying to work to rectify that. But I'll be curious once the action after action report is done to see if in fact, if anything did. But I want to make sure, and you can say it out loud. All our pumps were turned on and working. The one on Lee Red Street worked for an hour, and it was working beautiful until everything got sucked into it. Okay, and then we had some houses that flooded at the end of Leveron Street. I mean, excuse me, Lee Red Street. So again, this conversation was great. There's a lot of things that were brought out here tonight, but we can't solve the problem tonight. Hopefully, we can work towards it, and in the future, things won't be quite as bad. But again, Mother Nature will send us things that we can't control. And in this particular case, the perfect storm almost hit, because it hit Lafourche and dumped that 7 inches of water. It came down here, then it dumped it on us. That doesn't help the people that got water in their houses, you know, but it is a fact of life, and we can't change that. So
Speaking about the
thank you.
people that got water in their houses, I do have one more thing I'd like to add. So
Sure.
for those may or may not know, and maybe some people who are here for the first time, we have hired a community outreach manager. Her name is Paula Ringo. If you need assistance, and she's here to bridge gaps and get you resources. Again, you might have to fill out paperwork and everything else, but to share her number, you could reach out to her at 985-219-2900. Ms. Paula Ringo has been a great resource and is again there to help fill gaps, get people connected to resources, help get the right data, the right forms, whatever it may be. Ms. Paula Ringo is there for that.
And just one other thing, we collect data from events like this to try to better things. If people do not, and somebody said it earlier, some of them do not want to participate because they worry about their flood insurance. It happened to us with generators after Hurricane Ida. We had a bunch of people put in generators, and then we had a gas problem. So if people don't report things, your number you just said, Jason, was 58. Mr. Voisin said there was 80 to 100. And both those numbers are probably correct. But we don't know the 80 to 100 if those people didn't report it. Now, why they didn't report it? Probably from an insurance perspective. But we need to know. I don't think that the ones on Lee Red Street reported it, okay? Because we talked about that a week after, Mr. Rome and I, and he didn't have any indication that it was flooded. So in any event, people need to help us so we could try to help them. Thank you.
Mr. Voisin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and I just want to be clear on that number, that's District 3. That's not the parish. And that number comprises full house flooding and one room, 2 rooms flooded. So there's a strong possibility a lot of the people that I'm telling you that flooded, it wasn't the entire house that flooded. It was a room or 2 rooms. They're probably most unlikely to report, right, for that. And maybe some of them did. I'm not sure. But that's what I counted based on that. I just want to be clear. I'm not talking 80 or 100 houses that was fully inundated with water. But to me, and for me, being a child of flooding, my pretty much my whole life, it doesn't really matter to you when you live in that house, right? If it's a room or two rooms or what it is, you flooded, right? And so that's why I just counted them all. Now I can't separate and tell you how many was fully and how many weren't. I was just taking counts. Of course, time was of the essence, right, to discover this because during the event, uh, 3 in the morning, you could visually see, well, they got water, they got water. And then once the smoke cleared, the water cleared, talking to folks, helping folks out with their issues, uh, and then following up for days after. A lot of them was a count based on, I see a little flooring outside, you see some old carpet, you see some furniture. I mean, you don't have to be that smart to know that was from flooding. So I'd count those houses, right? I may not have talked to those people, but I counted that as a house that flooded and that got water in it. And that's how I came to that number. I just want to be real clear. Uh, and, if the, I guess, digital count is 58, uh, it might make sense. Uh, but regardless, when you look at the entire parish, obviously, one thing we definitely should have learned from this, if we didn't, that there's definitely some urgency in District 3 when it comes to flooding. I mean, if we didn't learn nothing else, we definitely should learn that when you look at the whole parish because it seems like from the data I seen on rainfall that it was pretty consistent throughout the parish. Might have been an inch or half-inch difference here or there, but it was pretty consistent as far as the amount fell. It's not like District 3 got more rain than anybody else in Terrebonne Parish, is the point I'm trying to make. So if we didn't learn anything, we best learn that there's some definite urgency in that particular district when it comes to rainfall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wazan. Ms. Babin?
Yeah, just, Clayton, I wasn't disputing your numbers by any stretch of imagination. No, that's fine. When I consider flooding, I don't care if it's one room or a whole house, that's flooded in my opinion. Because that is a discomfort, so to speak, to everyone. So again, I'm not disputing your numbers. It's probably because the people didn't report it, okay? And Jason and them can only go on by what was reported. And we all know there was more than 58 houses that took on water. I guess that's the best way to say it rather than flooding, that the houses took on water, okay? And again, it seems to have been concentrated more in the district that you represent than any other district. So it's something that needs to be addressed.
All right, thank you. No further lights, we'll move to the next agenda item. Item 8B, Councilmember Brian Pledger, myself, request discussion with possible action regarding existing and/or newly proposed CDBG projects. And I'd like to say this before I even get started. If time is an issue, well, that's shame on you, because at the same time, if we're taking care of Terrebonne Parish's business as leaders, the time shouldn't matter. And I'm just throwing that out there to get started. Because I'll use my military, because I have more military experience than anybody here. I work until the job's done, period. All right, with that being said, I put this on the agenda to bring light or shed light on, such as Mr. Voisin did with, within my district, the CDBG DR projects. First thing, I want to make sure everybody's clear and understands what dictates a disadvantaged community. And what I mean by that is what gets a community the funding based on the requirement by HUD and OCD. Disadvantaged community defines the US DOT defines a disadvantaged community as a group or individuals living in a geographic proximity to one another or sharing common conditions or group experiences that experience cumulative burdens across economic and social environmental factors. Okay, that's the definition of a disadvantaged community, which that definition gets you the funding, $117 million for these communities. Again, that was the definition. And there's 5 different indicators what designates a disadvantaged community. 1, transportation insecurity, environmental burden, social vulnerability, health vulnerability, climate and disaster risk. Now, what's those 5 indicators? Well, those 5 indicators, you just kind of make sure we understand what the definition of those indicators are. For transportation, it's communities that spend more and take longer to get where they need to go. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Environmental burden indicators, communities experiencing disappropriately high levels of pollutants and toxins. Social vulnerability indicators, communities with high levels of poverty, low access to jobs and education, and communities with a shared history of discrimination. Health vulnerability indicators, communities with adverse health outcomes, disabilities, and low access to healthcare services. What does all that mean? What does all that mean? I'm glad to know that we do studies, have conversations. It's great. It's been acknowledged. That's what we do all the time. However, I can give you some examples where we're wasting money on studies, specifically CDBG-DR. And how do I come to that? I'm going to mention a few places. Pontchartrain, Morgan Street, Lower Gibson, Crozier, Prince Collins, Dulac, Bobtown, Chauvin, Grand Caillou, Mott Trailer Park, Montague, Village East, Ashland North. It doesn't take a study to know those are disadvantaged people, low to moderate income, period. However, I read our CDBG-DR projects, there's 30. Give me a minute. Activate the bayous, community resilience centers, support the seafood industry, phase 3. Finding Our Roots, African American Museum, facade improvements, small business grants, support the seafood industry, phase 1, stormwater master plan, wastewater master plan, support the seafood industry, phase 2, community resilience centers, phase 1, plan, Bayou Terrebonne Pump Station, Bayou Black Pump Station, Main Street improvements, Village East wastewater, activate the bayous, phase 1, permanent facility for housing and human services, STEAM Center, parish-wide weather stations, water redundancy and water quality for East Terrebonne, activate the bayous, phase 2, Bayou Lafourche Pump Station, critical evacuation routes, garbage transfer facility, Bayou Cane Stormwater Retention Basin and berm, Lewis Miller Technical School permanent location, Housing and Human Services Annex and Community Center, Aviation Workforce Development at Fletcher, Small Business Incubator, Parish Planning, unallocated funding, there's $1.1 million left there. 2930 projects there, all right? Now, by my calculations, it didn't take a survey a study to figure this out. I'll just use the 2930 projects here. Show you where our focus is, some of our focus. I'll take the biggest because it's the easiest. Downtown, directly impacting downtown, we got 7 projects. That's 23%. That maths. 23% is going downtown, roughly $26 million of $117 million. It doesn't take a survey for that. But go back to what I said. What is the definition of an underserved community? Pointe-aux-Chenes, Chauvin, Grand Caillou, Bobtown, Mechanicville, all these areas I just mentioned. That's where we're focusing, okay? Now, what do we mean when we say Main Street improvements? I'll just use that since that's a pretty big one. We're moving fast on that. The proposed activities include a complete streets retrofit along Main Street, LA 24, between St. Charles and Howard Avenue in downtown Houma. The improvements consist of updated pedestrian infrastructure, signalized crosswalks, traffic calming features, tree planting, and stormwater management systems. The purpose of the project is to improve transportation safety, accessibility, and economic resilience in the Houma Historical Cultural District. Okay, what does that mean? We're doing that downtown. So let me do this. I'm gonna go from Wright Street to New Orleans Boulevard. Last I checked on Zillow, the average house sold for, that's right across from downtown, this street, what I'm talking about, which is a state highway, by the way. All right, across the street on Park, the average house sold for $187,000. I don't think Dulac, Montague, Pointe-aux-Chenes, those houses sell for that. We're missing it. We're missing the mark. We're having a lot of conversations. We're doing studies. We started this a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we're here now, and nothing's going in the underserved communities. That math doesn't math to me. And I understand there might be some triggers here or whatever it is, but if there is, that's where you need to step back and see. Specifically, I'll mention this and I'll be done. But the Village East community, I'm going to lay it out the way it happened. And it's all data that's readily available to anybody. And I encourage you guys to be engaged, and correct me if I'm wrong. But this was first started with our previous administration by way of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government will be submitting a funding request under the state of Louisiana's fiscal year 2017-2018 capital outlay program for the planning and construction of the proposed Village East Recreation and Community Center in Terrebonne Parish. The Village East community does not have any recreational facilities available to provide area use with constructive recreational opportunities. A new 15,000 square foot center and gym is needed in order to service the needs of the constituents and area youth. I didn't write this. State, in turn, the answer to that they did was, I strongly endorse Terrebonne Parish funding request for the Village East Recreational Center and Gym and wholeheartedly support appropriations in the 2017-18 state capital budget for this most worthwhile project. We got the money in. We set it aside for that project. October 13th, 2023, some of it was taken. October 13th, 2023, it was taken. All right. After that, when I first got in office, first thing I did, because the previous council member who sat here, whose place that I took, Mr. John Navy told me, don't give up on Village East, man. I got us place over there. We got the funding. Let's get it done. I was told September 11th of 25, ironically, that the remainder of those funds are no longer available. Please, ma'am. The remainder of those funds were unavailable. And now I have it right here in front of me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it clearly shows how every time something came up about Village East, what happened? And then what am I holding? Nothing. There's nothing there. I'm passionate about it. It's a disadvantaged community. And I had a conversation with our parish president because I keep trying. Benefit of the doubt. I know we're going to do this. I know we're going to do this because it's obvious that we got a problem here. And you minimized Village East to the point of saying, I'm proposing, put your light on for you before you go ahead. You're proposing on the 5, 6, whatever new projects, you've minimized Village East and suggested that we'll give you $900,000 to build a pavilion. For what? Somebody go hang out? But at the same time, we were going to be put, Village East Community Center was going to be put at the forefront if we get funding. Right now we have funding on the cuffs of funding. Let me put it that way. I don't want to be put in a place of hoping the Finding Our Roots Museum fails and then we can do that. That's not Village East Community. That project should be at the top of the list as it was put forward to me, that as soon as we get the funding or the funding becomes available, we will build Village East Community Center. Now, all of a sudden, and I'm sure I'm going to hear, oh, well, it's going to cost us $3.5 million to build that. I haven't seen that. That's what I'm told. But I'm more than sure that that place could be built for less than $3.5 million, as what I was told. And it's always used to us as, I'm taking it now as a scare tactic of, well, where do you want me to get the money from? We find money for everything but what we need. And the things we need, the people up here don't. And if they're suggesting it, we should try to make some sort of effort to do that. But I'm sure we're going to be, doing studies and all that. But we went to the Mechanicville gym and did all the studies. Clearly, all that did was check a box. Because again, disadvantaged communities, what are we doing in those communities? We might not be able to build these people new houses, but we can assist them. We can assist them to getting some of the tarps off of theirs. That's a doable project, but we're giving it to businesses. If they're living in houses that's not really inhabitable down these bayous in the inner city, you think they're coming downtown to spend money? It's a time, it's a place where let's put it where it belongs. The only reason these other areas are able to benefit and it works when we submit these applications, they're there by default because within a certain area of this underserved community, we are able to put a STEAM center. It's great. I get it. How do you think a STEAM center would work in Village East to help those poor souls? Or maybe in Dulac, or maybe in Ward 7. It would really work there too, because another requirement for that is transportation. If we put this in places where it's already well developed and they have cash flowing through these areas, The poor people ain't coming. And I know this is triggers for a lot of people, but it's the truth. For once, let's do what's right. And right doesn't have a lot of company. And I get that. And that's why I'm speaking for my community. It's not black and white, it's none of that. But it's just doing the right thing. Let's stop doing our pet projects and all this other stuff. It's just time for it to end. Jason, Mr. Badron.
Yeah, I just want to make sure if I heard correctly or not, maybe I misunderstood. You mentioned that I minimize villages, or are you talking about that I just want to better understand.
Let me help you understand a little better, Mr. Badron.
Okay.
You're the one who told me, several other council members in a meeting, that instead of building it, because it's going to cost too much, and we're going to have to pick and choose and get rid of other projects, that you guys I'm willing to do a pavilion for $900,000. You're the one who told me that.
That's incorrect, sir. And if anybody, other council members feels like that I gave that information, please let me know. So this is what we'll talk about.
Well, no, just tell me what you said.
I'll tell you what I said.
Okay.
So because of OCD, we have to hire a group to create a study. This project, the resiliency center, is divided into two phases. Phase one is a study. They said we cannot pick facilities till we do a study. So we hired a company to do that. That company created a report. That report we were going to present to the council, but when the conversation came up that there could be anywhere from $2 million to $4.5 million, we made the council aware of other potential projects. We didn't ask for a vote. We didn't ask for you to pick anything. We just wanted you to be aware there are current approved projects that can use more funding. We didn't control the list. We gave input. When I first saw the list and I saw where Village East appeared on that list, you can ask Candace, I wasn't happy with how far down Village East appeared. The problem of why it appeared so far down is a couple factors. Number one, the amount of money that it's going to take, because right now, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me, it's $4.5 million in community centers that we have available. That project alone would eat up most, if not all, of that funding. But it doesn't matter, just like Robbie talked about earlier about giving information so that you guys can make a decision. When we present those projects, and again, we talked about doing it after the deadline with finding our routes, the council can decide. If Village East is number one, Village East is number one. If council decides to do 2 projects, 4 projects, 7 projects, reallocate all the additional funding that's left over to just community centers, that's your choice. So at the point of me minimizing or saying we're only doing this or not doing that, Village East didn't make the cut of the original presentation at all. It's 4 projects that made the cut with the funding we have available. How the council spends that when it's presented is going to be a y'all call and y'all vote. And so, to talk about how money's been pulled from Village East, you voted on that before I even got here in 2023. I don't know why you voted on pulling that money from Village East and put it towards the Whitney Bank building. So at the end of the day, to say that I minimized it when we're following the rules, we're giving information at every opportunity that we can. And again, here we are. We started this in 2024 when I got here. We had a conversation in 2024 about how projects were located in certain areas that would benefit the entire community. The steam engine is a skills solution that's going to work between Bayou STEM, Bayou Regional Arts Council to service the entire parish. We're going to take those resources and we're going to get those kids there or get those resources to those kids. So just because it exists downtown, find another building that y'all want to put that steam engine in an LMI area. You mentioned Gibson. Unfortunately, Gibson's not an LMI area. So when we're working with the LMI limitations that were provided through HUD and OCD, and then we're hiring consultants based on OCD telling us we have to hire consultants, and they put a proposal together of what they recommend based on how many people are serviced in an LMI area, right? One of those, I think, was Dumas, is 75%. And the top 4 projects were about $1 million, a little bit more than $1 million apiece. So At the end of the day, the council can say, we hear you, Village East is number one, and whatever else is left over is going to number two. If we only end up with the $4.5 million, which is originally allocated to community centers from the beginning when it was voted on. So, again, to say I minimize it and to say that whatever you're trying to say with that is just, it's misinformation. It's incorrect. And other people in these same meetings and know that's not what I said. And so I just don't appreciate that.
And that's fine, Mr. Bazeron, and I'll hold myself accountable because I'm known for doing that. You said I voted for it. I did vote for it because I knew no better. But once I learned better, I did better. I was here for 4 months when that happened. I had just been elected, just to put that out there. But they always told me, that's why I was budget and finance chairman for 2 years, you follow the money, you'll find everything that's wrong. And that's what I did, and that's why I'm here right now. And I voted, but you failed to mention that I voted against doing it the second time under your administration. Okay? So with that being said, all I'm asking, since now I know that and you've acknowledged that, hopefully, there's been a few council members here for the record that have said that they were in total agreement with the Village East Community Center. I guess that means I need to just work on these council members to see what I'm saying. But if not, I do understand because it shows more often than not which way the ball's going to swing. But at the same time, I want the people of Village East to know that if they aren't able to get a community center, it's not my fault. But I'm going to keep pushing at it because if they said it on the state level, they're supporting it. They supported it. That's why they sent the money originally. If you borrow money, you pay it back. But we're not doing that. Item 9, announcements. Parish President.
All right. On Thursday, July 16th at 2 p.m. at 200 Point Street, we have the Youth Roundup Job Event. Youth ages 16 to 24 are invited for training and youth job placement. Call 985-876-8990 for questions. From July 16th to July 18th, we have the Ladies Cocoa Classic at Cocoa Marina. This event is an annual all-women's fishing rodeo that combines fishing, fellowship, and community spirit. Benefits awareness and support for autism programs in the area. On Saturday, July 18th at 8 a.m., we have our farmers market for local farmers at the Air Base Park at 218 Moffett Road. Traditional farmers market, goods from local businesses. On Saturday, July 18th at 10 a.m. at the Terrebonne Parish Main Library, we have the Junior Angler Day. Children's ages 6 through 12 are invited to Junior Angler Day for fishing theme activities and discovery. Participants will learn about responsible fishing practices, aquatic ecosystems, and the importance of protecting Louisiana's waterways. And then we have a town hall in West Homa at the West Homa Recreation Center on Williams Avenue, Wednesday, July 22nd from 6 p.m., until all the questions are answered. And then a reminder, our permanent offices are closed Friday, July 17th at 2 p.m., and will reopen Monday at 8 a.m. Thank you.
Ms. Kim Chauvin?
I know a lot of thanks was given to the drainage department and kudos because you've done a really good job on everything, that you were able to do at that time. Condolences to everybody who flooded because it sucks, and those who were hit by tornadoes too. But I wanted to thank Clay Nakan and all of the crew. I literally watched these people getting out there helping to cut up trees and get all of that stuff out there. So and I watched them on Evelyn Street picking up all the stuff, and kudos to them on getting that done, and Entergy for getting us back up and running on Evelyn Street as quickly as you could, and city of Homa. You know, we just had so many employees that have rallied together, and our community came out together. You know, I watched on Evelyn Street where neighbor helping neighbor, and, you know, going out and bringing them lunches and stuff, because it was such a deer in the headlights look. So I can only imagine what it felt like for those who were flooding. It's the same feel that they get. So my condolences to everyone who was hit by the tornadoes and those who have flooded. But I really do want to give that pat on the back to our employees, because they have went above and beyond in getting things done. So thank you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Clayton Wazan, second by Mr. Carl Harding. Seeing no lights, members, vote your machines. Votes 9-0, motion passes. Good evening.